Good morning, all. All right, thank you. Now we can start because the post-star is here, and we can start. I want to welcome everybody. This is going to be a little bit of a confusing meeting here, but we'll salvage it and we'll get it done, and we'll get it done right. And I want to welcome some of the new supervisors that are on the tourism part of this, and I hope we all work together and get things done and move this county forward this year. All right, well, I'm going to change everything around, so be patient with me.
That's a good start, Gene.
I'm going to start with the Civic Center part, because I want to just otherwise we have to move to the big room for all these people that we have here. So I'm going to invite Jeff up to the podium, or whoever's representing the Civic Center, and we'll hear from them. Yes?
I'd like to approve the minutes of the previous
Oh, yeah, that's
meeting.
right. I'm sorry, I apologize.
Thanks for moving us along here.
All right, let's approve the minutes of the previous tourism meeting.
Second.
And a second?
Yeah.
Your second, Mr. Dickinson, right?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now, I spoke to, the minutes of that meeting were not on the website, and we're gonna get them up, and I know you just approved them. That's why you got me all confused. We just decided not to approve them. We weren't gonna approve the minutes so that everybody had a chance to read them from last month, so you just got me confused today already. But, if you have any questions, they will be up on the website, later on or whenever it goes, okay? And if you have any questions, we'll bring it up at the next meeting, all right? So, we got that going. Now we'll move to the representative from the Civic Center.
Good morning. I recognize some of you from previous meetings last year, but I'll reintroduce myself to those of you that I haven't met. My name's Elizabeth Mahoney. I'm an attorney with Bartlett, Pontiff, Stewart and Rhodes in Glens Falls, and I'm a member of the Civic Center Coalition. And Jeff Mead, most of you know, as the general manager of the Civic Center. I know this is a combined group now, and I know many of you know the process, but we're required under our agreement, and we enjoy doing it, coming monthly and giving an update on the center, the events, what's going on, and the use of the donations. So at the end of last year's meetings, we'd been asked to kind of give a general sort of state of affairs of the first year of our operations, and we thought we'd take just a couple minutes this morning, give some of the highlights of last year, and we have previously, a few weeks ago, we submitted our first request and report for this upcoming quarter. I know I emailed that only to Lisa, I believe. I have extra copies, but I don't know moving forward if the idea is to just email these reports to Lisa to circulate or to someone else. Just let us know, and we can get them to you in advance any way that works best for everyone. Just very quickly to highlight some of the occurrences last year, some of the positives, some of the negatives that we experienced in our first year of operations. Again, for those of you that don't know, when we took over the lease last January 1, so we've completed 1 full year of managing and operating the Civic Center. We're in a lease with the city to do that, and in order to begin operations, we were initially funded solely through the private donations of the individuals of the board that got it up and running, and occupancy tax. That was our sole source of revenue for much of the beginning of the first year. If you'll remember, we had a management company in called Global Spectrum, who managed the building, and in so doing took a fee for that and percentage of profits and concessions. So we were not able to receive those funds at the beginning, or much of them. Our first step was to negotiate to have Global removed, which we did. They were out as of March 1, and thankfully Jeff applied for the job as GM and took over in July. The savings from the removal of Global overall to the coalition, we're estimating to be about over $100,000, and that was one of our big main cuts that we needed to make. The second one came in September when our contract with Ovations, the current concession vendor, was up, and we decided again it made sense to sort of eliminate the middleman, do the concessions in-house ourselves. We again estimate hopefully over $100,000 benefit or increase to our budget, and that will come directly to us through the removal of Ovations. We also decided that looking at our utility contracts was important. Looking at our events contracts was important because utilities, for example, and many of them were on a variable rate, and so we couldn't budget adequately. You know, we were just at the whim of whatever happened month by month. So Jeff stepped in. He negotiated our utility contracts, got flat rates, and for example, the electric budget, we've budgeted for $30,000 less this year. Gas supply is a similar savings, so that was a big savings to us, as well as event contracts. We really wanted to make sure that with Global out and Ovations out, not only could we maybe get a bigger piece of the pie as far as those revenue sources, but were we getting a cost of the event? Were we getting a portion of the fee that the events or the vendors brought in? So we have renegotiated those contracts and will continue to do so and see a savings there. I guess the question you may all have, and at the end here I'll just have one more minute and then leave it to Jeff and questions. How has the occupancy tax helped us? And, you know, what have we used it for? I think would probably be something important for you all to know. To be perfectly honest and very straightforward, if, you know, we inherited an over $500,000 deficit budget when we took this over. And so without the occupancy tax money last year and this year, we just wouldn't be able to make it. I mean, operations were such that we absolutely needed and used this money. And you know from my reports, we didn't even need the last draw because we had used it in the first, you know, 3 quarters. So it was vital. And we did things with it like promote and bring events into the building. Last year we had 90 events, and this year we've budgeted for 115. So the use of that money to attract events was vital, and to offset the cost of those events, especially early on when we had to give pieces of those monies to other third-party entities, I mean, was just critical. We absolutely wouldn't have been able to make it through the first year without that money. And we think that the benefit to the continued success of the Civic Center and the money that's been given to us, not only through this county funding, which is vital, but the grant we received. We were awarded a $675,000 grant to make improvements to the building. We were given a limited list of what we could use it for. We had to spend $750,000 first in order for us to later apply now to receive that grant back. So it's not like they gave us $675,000 and we did all these upgrades. We actually needed to spend $750,000, which we've done, and then we can apply next year to receive that money back, or the end of this year. We've done things like the marquee. I mean, that's a huge example of how we use that money to not only improve the facility, but use that now as a new revenue source. We're attracting advertisers to the site, and that will come to us and help our bottom line. We upgraded the lighting and the Wi-Fi, and the last component will be the sound system. So our hope is that not only we'll take the Civic Center and we'll hopefully eventually get out of the red at some point in the future while we're in operations, but to also leave it in a position that it's in a better shape for the attraction of future events and overall tourism and occupancy in the city. One thing Jeff did, and I can have him talk a little bit about it, was when he came on board, he started to track rooms and how does the bringing in events benefit rooms. And there's no doubt, not even using mathematics of it, that bringing in an event fills the hotels and the restaurants. I mean, that's easy, but we're trying to quantify that. And so Jeff reaches out to the events themselves, the promoters or coordinators of each event, and says, listen, how many hotel rooms did you guys use when you were here? Special Olympics last fall, for example, brought 800 rooms to the county. The volleyball tournament was 500. The Winter Classic last weekend was 690 rooms. Five Finger Death Punch, which was a concert that was held earlier last year, they couldn't give us a example, but we called the Queensberry and they were sold out, all strictly due to the concert. Certainly the hockey games, the teams stay at the Queensberry and locally, and there's 35 home games that come to the area each year. So there's no question that there's a benefit to all, the community, the county, the hotels, the restaurants, the shopping areas, because of this. So that's kind of our overall report. I don't know, Jeff, if you have anything you want to add and questions?
Yeah, just a few items. Obviously, Liz touched on many of them. I think the last time we spoke to you, you said we thought we had a big Christian rock concert coming to the Civic Center. Shortly after, I think, the last meeting, the Newsboys announced that they'll be at the Civic Center on July 1st. Secondly, I told you we were all talking about a pretty good-sized country band coming to the Civic Center. I think Monday afternoon we'll be able to announce that country act is coming to the Civic Center in May. So those are the two of the bigger items I spoke to you about, I think, the last time we got together. The marquee, which hopefully you all have seen, has been up since December 31st. I'm sure if you read the Post-Star this morning, Glensville National Bank is the presenting sponsor of the marquee, so that was an exciting day for us. We have a few other sponsors that have committed to be on the board for a year. So obviously we think that'll be a revenue generator for us going forward. Certainly, the look and the product is tremendous. We believe the marquee, especially compared to the old one we had up there. So that's exciting. I know Liz talked about audio. Wednesday morning we entered into an agreement with a company to replace all the audio in the Civic Center. That'll happen as soon as the Thunder are done playing this season. So hopefully it's not till June, but so next fall we'll have brand new audio in the arena, and we're pretty confident that it'll work. Not to be too simplistic, but if you're there for hockey games, you can tell there's a lot of places in the arena, whether it's blank spots or it's muffled. So we're excited about that. That's our fourth and final big ticket item that we're going to spend with the grant monies we were given. So just a few things, other events. As Liz says, our budget's 115 events for 2016. We're pretty close to hitting that target number. I have about 95 already on the books for 2016. I'm very confident with the 115. Just a few things that have gone on since I think the last time we spoke. Between December 26th and the 31st, we had 6 straight nights of events. We had 3 Thunder hockey games, 2 basketball events, and a comedy show down at Heritage Hall. So we're becoming pretty busy. The first week in January, we had 4 straight nights of events as well, including the Gilbert Gottfried comedy show down at Heritage Hall. So the arena is much busier, I think, than it has been historically, at least the last few years. So that's certainly a positive. They're not all huge blockbuster events, but every night we can use the arena. We believe it's good for the arena. Obviously, the goal is to make it money on every event. We've been pretty successful doing that on the strictly events alone. Certainly, any day that the arena is dark, it still costs us quite a bit of money to operate. So, but just going forward, last weekend we did have the Winter Classic North Stars hockey tournament at the Civic Center. Liz touched out about the hotel rooms. I'm sure those are a great benefit to the retail and the restaurants around as well. Coming up, we have the stick game. It's a big high school hockey game at the Civic Center next week. It used to be Glens Falls, now it's the Rivermen against Queensberry. That's typically a pretty good event. The Foothills Basketball Classic is there February 4th. Section 2 wrestling, the finals will be at the Civic Center in February. The Section 2 basketball playoffs are there for a week in February. And this year we have the Class AA semifinals. That should be a really good night at the Civic Center. That's been down at the Times Union the last few years, so we're excited to have it back. We have a bunch of hockey games coming up for February. In early March, we have a few floor shows that we have contracts out for, like an outdoor show. We're working on a few other items as well for March. And certainly the state basketball tournament is in March as well. So that's what's kind of coming up. We have a bunch more Heritage Hall events, a lot of catering events going on at Heritage Hall for the first quarter as well. So it'll be a busy February, March, and April for sure. and obviously if the Thunder continue on their way, we'll have some playoff games in Glens Falls, which hasn't happened in, I don't know, 10, 12 years, so we're excited about that, so. That's my report, we can answer questions.
Mr. Dixon?
I've been here a while, we've had a lot of often heated discussions about the, Civic Center. I have to tell you, I'm really excited after hearing the presentation. You've gotten yourselves reorganized, you've, gotten yourself lean and mean and ready to fight here. I think this is very encouraging, and, I'm very happy to see that. The Civic Center is definitely a big player in the, economy and, in the area, and it's obviously great for Glens Falls, and I'm really pleased to see it. Hope you continue on and really turn this thing around. Great job.
Thank you.
Jeff, I also have a couple of comments, and I will agree with Mr. Dickens. You guys have done a great job. I've been on this for a lot of years with the Octax, and you really came through the way you approached it, the way you presented to us, and you are fulfilling 90%, 95% of your obligation, and maybe even 100. And just so some of the newer supervisors and people that weren't here, the Civic Center gets $250,000. They got it last year from Octax money. They'll get it again this year, and they'll get it again next year. It was a 3-year deal that we made with them, and I think they're using the money wisely, and it was a good move on the Octax committee that moved forward on that. And my only other thing, that I'm the new chairman of the Octax, so and I saw, because now the way these meetings are combined, I would like to make a little recommendation, but it's strictly up to this whole group here. We had asked you last year to come in every month with a report, and I've listened to every month's report, and it's been really great. I was just wondering if the board would consider letting them come in every 3 months, because it's...
I'll make that motion.
You didn't even let me finish.
I know where you're going, I've been here myself.
Because what's happening, as you see now, we don't want, this is why this meeting today is gonna be a little confusing, because I'm trying to get people that come to these meetings, they have to get back to work, or back to towns, or back to whatever, so to run them, so that everybody doesn't sit here for 5 hours. But, if the board agrees to that, I think they're doing a great job. They've reported every month, last year to us, and, if anybody has, I got a motion. Do I get a second before we can decide? Ms. Frazier, that's good. Anybody has a comment? Yes?
I do, and I agree with Supervisor Dickinson, of course, and I think that your presentations are very, helpful. I guess I would just say that if you do start coming in quarterly, which I think is still important to have that quality, information presented to us, and have this ability to kind of ask questions and hear how great things are going, and also if there were any issues. But the written reports that they're referring to, is there a way to have that disseminated to the committee members prior to you coming in, so that we could look at those and...
Yes, that was my question early on. I had
Right.
submitted our first one in, the beginning of the month. I sent it to Lisa, she's been my contact, actually Martin was my contact previously. I'd be happy to send it to whomever you tell me, either one and you can disseminate, or everybody, either way you want it, that's fine with me.
Are you gonna do that every month, or do you wanna wait every 3 months?
Quarterly.
The quarterly. So, when you send the next quarterly to Lisa, let's get it out to every supervisor that's on this thing.
Okay.
All right. I didn't see it this month, so I'm sorry, I apologize, because Mr. Kenny used to get the reports. I didn't know I had to go look for one, but,
Drafters, I can do the same.
all right. But we'll make sure so that everybody gets one when they submit it, right? We'll get it out to all the supervisors on this committee, all right?
What I did receive was, what they anticipate their need is for the next quarter. So I didn't receive any report as to, follow-up report for the end of the year. So they've anticipated that they need $75,000 for the next quarter, and
Okay,
I would ask for
all right, you need a resolution? Okay.
to pay that.
All right, Matt, did you hear what Lisa said? They were requesting $75,000 for the next quarter out of that $250,000.
But with that, will we get a detailed expense of,
So what we do is we submit the request and we break it down by event, and you'll see, and I've got copies of them.
Too much pressure.
They say, okay, basketball, this is what we anticipate, and each one's delineated.
We didn't vote
Then
on
in
that
April's
first one.
I know.
report, we show exactly how we used it.
Great,
And then we ask for the next one. So
and those are the reports we'll start receiving prior to the committee
That's
meeting?
right.
Okay, great.
Yep, and that's the one I did send early January.
All right, so let's, but before we move forward again, let's finish everybody's agreed that they can come here quarterly. Is that, we got a motion and a second, everybody approve? Okay. Opposed? That's good, that's carried. Now we'll move in, Matt, you move to give them the 75, Mr. Dickinson, you, second it. Any other questions on that? And we definitely need them, the report, so we're gonna hold you to it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for coming. Yes,
One last comment.
okay.
And that's a real big plug for the basketball in March. This is the last year, as you know, we won't, have them next year, the next 3 years. We're really looking to make a statement and encourage everyone to come out and support it. We're hopeful that they're back sooner than later, and, but, certainly it's been a huge event for the area over the last 30 years, and it'll be sorely missed by all. And, you know, we're hopeful that everyone comes out, we're gonna send them off in a nice way and hope to get them back very soon.
All right, thank you.
Just, and on that, obviously, that's a loss for us, and certainly it's gonna hurt the community. We're talking to, I would say, 4 different groups about doing some weekend events, in 2017 that'll help offset the loss of the basketball. Obviously, we have the federation, but we're talking to some other, weekend events that would stay in the hotels, shop and dine as well, so, you know, we're not just saying, you know, our loss, we're working pretty hard to make up for that, the loss of not only revenue, but certainly, hotel rooms in the area, so. And we'll be able to report on that hopefully in March as to how our progress is going, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
And
Wait,
Thunder
Mr.
Plate tonight
Bain,
and tomorrow, if you wanna go. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just had a couple questions. First of all, I think you guys are doing a phenomenal job. I was just writing down some notes here, and it looks like to me you've cut expenses, you started with a $500,000 deficit, and you cut the contract with Spectrum for 100, food for 100, that's 200, 60,000 in utilities, that's 260 right there. You're obviously on track to increase the amount of events from 90 to 115. I'm not sure how profitable each event is, that's a big variable. I guess, and not to, I guess my big question is, and this is obviously a pie in the sky, but when do you think you're gonna be breaking even? I mean, are you looking at 2 years from now? On the current course that you are, because you've cut your expenses dramatically, and that looks like that's gonna be, not just a one-time shot, but that's obviously, you've lowered your cost of operating. So, when do you think you're going to actually be profitable under the current scenario?
Well, certainly not this year. There's one caveat to some of those big numbers. In part of the negotiations of taking these guys out, Global Spectrum and Ovation, we had to pay for buyouts. And the buyouts will hinder us for a few years. At that point, you know, and given, a review of how the events do and which ones make sense and which ones don't. I mean, that's always been the plan. We've got 5 years on this lease. Wouldn't it be great if while we're here in tenure, we make it to the point where we're in the black by the end? Let's leave it, the building in a better condition and running on a budget that makes its own money. Whether that pans out, that's our, you know, 2 of our huge goals. So 5 years, that's what we've always said. If we could do it before then, that would be great. We don't expect it in the next couple of years. But that's what we're moving towards.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else? Thank you very much for coming, and I do have to get a motion. We got a motion and a second on that 75. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that's passed. Okay, good.
Thank
All right, thank you. All right, now that's part of OCTAX, but we're gonna delay the rest of the OCTAX. I hope you all understand what I'm doing here. And I'm gonna jump into O&M so that the, Jeff and the mayor could, give us some information on, it should be reasonably quick, and then we'll get back to OCTAX and then tourism. Is he here? What happened to Mr. Mayor? Jeff, you wanna speak?
Sure, Mr. Chairman, on page 1 is the first page of an invoice from the village, for, several treatments to the turf at the park. And, you'll see on page 3 is a breakdown of various applications over last year. So, first request is to authorize reimbursement to the village, come out of their park
which one do you prefer?
Yep, I'm paying these bills out of the park revenue and moving that into the park budget, and then I pay a bill out of that.
Okay.
Stick with that for now.
All right, everybody understand what we're doing? All right, do I have a motion to move out of revenue into the budget? Matt? Dickinson, second it?
Second.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
Yeah, how much is that?
It's,
600.
$6,694.56.
Okay. All right, any other questions?
Huh?
Different segment in the occupancy tax.
It's very confusing. Any other question on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that's passed, Jeff.
And our referral items, this has been on our referral list for some time. I don't think the committee has talked about, our policy on reimbursing, or canceled events, but there is a current policy written into our permits. Maybe we can talk to that. I don't know that, we take deposits on the events, and in our permits, I think there's language about, not refunding it within a certain period of time. I don't have anything else to add. If the committee wants to change our policy, that would be up to the committee. Otherwise, we can move on, we'll keep it on a referral item, or we can take it off if the committee's happy with the way we
How
do
much
that.
is the time, Jeff? Do you know off the top of your head?
I think it's 60 days.
90, is that correct, Mayor?
90.
$500 is the deposit, and then, it's non-refundable unless canceled 90 days prior to the event.
Mr. Mayor, you have any suggestion on that? Do we wanna leave it there, or you wanna?
I have to apologize right up front, Gene, I've lost my hearing in this ear, and I can't hear anything I don't even know what I'm doing here.
Is that anything new?
But suddenly Wednesday I lost all hearing in this ear, it wasn't too good in this one. I'm having a little bit of a hard time, but,
Okay.
you can speak up, please.
Yeah, all right. We're just asking if, you feel you wanna continue with that 90 days,
Yeah, that's fine.
and, or you wanna change it?
No, it hasn't been any problem
Okay.
for 90 days, and I think that it's worked out fine.
All right, Jeff, then we'll leave it at 90 days, if that's all right with the committee. Nod, yes, okay, we don't need a,
I'll take that off
all
the
right.
referral then. And then, the last items I have are from, Mayor Blaze and, David Harrington, so turn it over to them.
We have a status report here. I don't know that I've got enough copies, but I'll start them on this end and try to be very brief, because I know some of you haven't been connected to the operation of the Wood Park, but, we're basically getting down near the very end, and we only have a couple of large, projects remaining. One is the, water feature, and the other, of course, is the stage. Again, I didn't know about all the folks on the committee now, and for those of you that are new, I'll pass these down and Gene can keep them. I only have one copy, but basically they're the first time you're gonna see the design of the stage that's been, approved by our committee, and the position of it in the corner of one of the festival space, and then the last is a layout of the entire park, for those of you that aren't familiar, with the entire layout. And, you'll see that on the status committee, we're getting ready to go to bid for the signage, which is the main signs on both highways, Beach Road and Route 9. That was a huge problem last year in making some of the events a success. We didn't have any exterior signage on the property whatsoever. And then, of course, one of the last features will be the stage itself and the water feature. The water feature, we're getting ready to put out to bid, if possible, and Bill Lamey's here to give you a little rundown on what the finances are, because up to this point, we're very pleased to say, except for the fence, that the county and the village bonded for a short period of time, we have been able to construct this park without any use of taxpayers' funding whatsoever. somewhere in the range of between 10 and $12 million. So every time we've applied for grant funding, which we're suggesting we do for the stage, we have been successful. The stage, I have a proposal today from Milan, who is our team that we've been working with, to make a proposal during the next round of funding for the stage, but didn't get the figures until yesterday as to what the approximate cost of the stage might be. And it's in the range of $750,000, which is somewhat higher than what I expected. So I don't expect we should make any decision on that at this particular meeting. But the water feature, I think we should discuss. It would be a shame, really, not to have that completed this summer. It's one of the main features of the park, but unfortunately we've run a little short because of some bids that came in a little higher than what we've got. So I think if it's okay with the committee, Bill is prepared to let us know what our shortage is, and then the board can decide whether they want to proceed ahead and put the water feature out to bid, or whether we should just hold back on that feature and wait until we have available funding.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Where we are construction-wise is we have, we're finishing up a couple of contracts that have been going on the last year and a half. Those should be finished late spring, early summer. We've got the contracts that are going out to bid that the mayor referred to, and then the last item that was covered under our most recent grant from DOS is the water feature. And if everything, to take a conservative position, we're going to come within about $150,000 of paying for everything, but we will be short approximately $150,000 to complete the water feature. And if we have some things fall in our favor as we close out the construction grants currently underway, that figure could shrink a little. It won't shrink a lot. But that's where we are.
The projected cost of the water feature, and we've been, most of the bids so far have come in under what have been projected, is somewhere in the range of about $300,000. Again, it's a principal feature of the children's playground is done. People that have been up there this winter using it have been amazed at of what's been done there. The skate park, of course, you've heard, has been extremely successful. 28 individuals there this last Saturday in the middle of the winter from all over using the skate park. We've already booked a tournament there for this spring. But we need to know now, I think our choices are, do we apply for a grant for the water feature itself in this next round of CFA funding?
Mayor, we actually have most of the grant money for the water feature. Where we are is we're going to run out of local match.
Yeah, we got to come up with the match then.
Yes.
The match is, we were at the end, for those of you that weren't familiar, the Wood Foundation has been giving us $150,000 a year for 6 years, I believe, and that this year is the end. We're counting this money, obviously. The Wright Foundation, Henry Wright Foundation from Schenectady, New York, pledged $500,000. They've been giving it to us in $100,000 increments, and this is the last year. So we've run out of match, and as you heard, we're about $150,000 short to proceed ahead with the water feature. So I would ask the board what your decision might be. Obviously, we could hold off, and I don't know that it's ever going to be any less than it would be now, or we could eliminate it completely, which I think would be a shame. It's a feature where children can run through and be hit with jets of water, And as people come into on Route 9, there's a 65-foot central spout that goes in the air that we intended to illuminate to cause, let people know, the park is there and be a nice entrance, obviously, to Lake George.
Mr. Mazur, then you're saying about 150,000 you're short.
That's
I mean,
what Bill Lamey's saying.
We'll go over that. Well, I'd like to ask our treasurer, I mean, we do have a reserve fund in the OCTAX money, and, I believe that would be great money to spend on that. It's just something I think it's tough, a lot of this committee don't know what we've been working on for 5 years with this, and all the money and the time and effort you have spent on that park. And, we wanna try to get it finished and as much as we can, except for the stage. And I'd like to just check with I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but if you wanna.
Well, right now, the reserve, I don't have the exact figures because we'll have to wait till the end of March
Right.
before we get the total amount. But right now, it looks like we're gonna have a reserve of about 1.9 million.
Okay, so, Mr. Conover?
Yeah, I would say, I think we're gonna take this up next, but if you look at the plan that was put together last year that everybody voted for, there's a county allocation in there, plus a discretionary allocation, in the plan, that, should this committee and the board at large want to allocate the dollars for this project, they could come right out of the Warren County allocation.
Well, I was thinking of just leaving that, so it's done the way we've got it planned for this year, and take the extra 150 out of the surplus.
You could do either, Mr. Chairman.
You know,
that would be up to the committee to,
that's my suggestion, but,
decide what they want to do.
'cause we already laid that out for 2016, and,
Right.
we should leave it like that, as it's gonna be allocated as it is, and then go with an extra 150 and get that water thing, moving.
I guess
Any other
we-
comments from the board? Yes.
I'd like to ask a question. We got the parking lot done, right?
The county parking lot is, almost complete. There's a few features that need to be done, but it's paved, it's striped. But that's county parking lot, is separate from the park itself.
The income from it.
The revenue is county revenue, the parking lot is county-owned, revenue goes into the general fund, into the
Right.
county general fund.
That idea.
The money that, we garner from the fees for use of the festival space is put in another account, and, I don't know what the balance is presently, but, and we've been taking some of the maintenance, of course, out of that as well. That's been around $30,000 a season so far, from the bookings, from the fees that are set aside for the people that use it.
All right, anybody else, have a suggestion, and, can I get a motion that maybe we move, Ms. Frazier, you move that? What, Mr. Dickinson, you second it? Any other questions? All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, question?
I could see Supervisor Simpson looking at that water fountain and thinking about the mill pond in Brant Lake.
Yeah, I was
Sooner
gonna,
we get it done.
my request was gonna go through the occupancy tax.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Mayor, you got your money, keep that project going.
Thank you very much.
All right.
The only other two items we had was the Winter Carnival has a request in to the committee, which usually would be handled by the O&M committee for use of the festival space during, this season's Winter Carnival. Obviously, they're looking for things to do on the land rather than on the water, so they've come up with some, a couple of innovative things. One is they're going to try to set the Guinness Book of Records for the cornhole contest. You might have seen that on television where they dropped a beanbag from the Goodyear blimp onto a, I don't know, I can't really get into this too much, into a large hole in the ground, and they're going to attempt to construct that large hole in a device built and brought to the festival space in sections, and set the world's record for dropping the beanbag through the hole.
All right.
They also want to run helicopter rides and do dog sled rides at the festival space. we don't really have a fee for those type of activities. And they've submitted their application to this committee today, because the Winter Carnival, of course, starts next week.
When I saw that, I talked to Jeff about it, and there's not gonna be any snowmobiles, four-wheelers on that
No,
land there.
No mechanized vehicles
Right.
on the, festival space whatsoever.
All right, and they just have to get with Jeff, I think we talked about with Jeff, that, to lay out where the sprinkler systems are on that property, so if anybody puts a tent up, we don't wanna spike through it.
Of course, the big question with them is there going to be a fee, and will you allow them to use it in the first place?
Okay, anybody have any, there's a question, are we gonna allow them to use it, number one, and number two, if we do, are we gonna charge them a fee?
I think Jeff wants to say something.
Oh, Jeff, I'm sorry.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I do have a copy of the permit that we just received a day or two ago. Just so everyone's clear, on their permit, they requested, that they're building the board cornhole, and then they're doing, dog sled rides, and then they had requested to do helicopter rides out of the park. That request had been denied in the past by the county attorney's office, and they've reiterated that denial. But the committee has had precedence to, waive fees for larger community-type events or for not-for-profit type events. The last time we did it, though, we did require a security deposit in case there was damage, which was the $500 deposit. So I just put that out there. That's how we handled this last year, I think, when we waived fees. I'm a little concerned with the dog sleds, but as long as the ground is frozen, you know, and the dogs aren't tearing up the festival space area, I think it would be fine. But that's how we handled it last time. We required a security deposit, which was returned after the event, and damage, but we have waived the fee in the past.
All right, so I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'd like to move that motion to waive the fees.
Okay, well, first, let's see if we're gonna let them use it. You're getting ahead of the case. That was my first question.
Yeah, that was pretty much a given.
Do I have a motion to allow them to use the festival space?
I'll go with that one too.
Oh, yeah, now, we can't do,
The
that's,
helicopters are, no.
okay, without the helicopters. All
Excluding
right,
the
so,
helicopter.
I saw some hands, Mr. Vanslo, Ms. Sieber,
Well, I have a question.
and you have a question, go ahead.
I'm just wondering, Mayor, will you be having a team for the cornhole world record breaking, and if so, may I be on it, or could we have a supervisor?
I've been pretty busy lately, and I'm not on that committee.
Just in case you need a team, you know, I think we're ready to
Yeah, I'll submit your
step
name.
up and be part of
My
that.
understanding is they're gonna climb up on, one of the fire department aerial ladders.
Oh, fantastic.
That's what they're telling me. But I'll certainly submit your name to the carnival committee.
We're a good team.
And, if you'd like to take part.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to let them use the park, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, now the second resolution,
I'd like to move that we, waive the fees.
all right, do I have a,
That we charge them $500
a deposit?
security deposit. I'd also like to announce from a reliable source that the helicopter rides are going to be at the Fort William Henry. So that's not a problem, they don't need to go there.
All right, so I got a motion, do I get a second? Ms. Frazier? Any other questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed, all right. There's one more on here about the golf cart.
Yeah, I just have one more. We're asking the committee to consider the purchase of a golf cart that we can utilize for maintenance of the park this summer. Obviously, it'll all be done. Our intention is to, have one individual over there, when the park is open, to maintain the entire area. And, we found golf carts, particularly in the village, very useful. We've got two of them, particularly to get through the narrow pathways and everything. And we would like permission to, we have a quote here, from 5 Star, which is down here in Queensbury. We've been doing business with them. This is used golf cart, and we'd like permission to proceed ahead and purchase that in time for the summer season.
Do you have a price on it? Do you have a price?
Price.
How much?
Oh, the quote? Oh, I thought you might have that. $4,245.
What account would you take that out of?
2010, Easy Go,
No, okay, I'm sorry, Mr.
gas.
I'm sorry. And what account are we taking that out of, so the committee
It
knows?
would come out of our regular maintenance account.
Maintenance fees, all right. Anyone wanna make a motion on that? Mr. Dickinson? Dennis? No, Matt, I'm sorry. All right, any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, opposed? That's carried. So you got what?
Are there any questions? I'll tell you that we've booked 9 events so far this summer. We had 14 last year. We have lost most of the events that were not successful. Were in July and August. I've met with all those promoters, and we've tried to research exactly why, and it always has come down to the same thing, lack of signage on the road to tell the people what was going on when they were there. Secondly, lack of parking. The county parking lot certainly being done will be a great asset to that space. And thirdly, the beautiful lake that just sits there in front of those folks in July and August when it's warm and hot and sunny, will always outdraw the festival space, I hope, no matter what we have. So, we're booked solid in June, we're booked solid in September. We've got an event coming the end of October, which is great. But July and August is a little light, and I suspect it will be until we get the stage and get things like that done.
All right. Any more questions for the mayor? Anybody from the audience like to ask the mayor a question on this? All right, so we'll move
Thank you
out of
very
the
much.
O and M.
Thank you, Mayor.
Motion to move out of the O and M. Do I have a motion, Ms. Dickinson, Mr. Vanslo? And we're gonna move back now to Octax. Because this is gonna be a few minutes on this one. All right, on the Octax, we're down to number 3, the treasurer's report.
Well, you kinda got it, so. I really don't have anything finalized, because we're still going over the figures, but it looks like we're projecting that the total revenue from 2015 will be about 4.2 million, which will be the first time we've been over the $4 million mark, so.
4.2, what about?
And like I said, basically, it looks like as a result of that, after you take out the $1 million for our cash flow that we hold in there, we're gonna have a reserve somewhere around 1.9 million.
All right, any questions to the treasurer?
Good job.
All right, moving on, we already took care of the Civic Center, we're down to, number 2. Lisa, I'm gonna let you explain this, new, layout for Octax for the, county and the towns.
Okay, you have in your packet both the 2015 and the 2016 spending plan. Basically, in September, we budgeted the amounts that are shown for 2015. So, what we are looking at is, increasing, the amount for a total of 210,000, which money would come out of the reserve. So that would be an additional 50,000 in, Warren County projects, and, an additional 50,000 in the discretionary fund. That would go from, 50,000 to, let me see where I am here. 75,000, so that's 25,000, excuse me, and, additional, 135,000 for the towns. So that would give, the village and the town of Lake George an additional 50,000. It would increase the amounts given to Bolton and Queensbury 20,000 each. And, under 2015, the other towns got 10,000. That would increase, the amounts given to the other 9, municipalities to 15,000, so $5,000 each.
Lisa, now that was for, that's 2015, and we gotta vote on it now, that,
No, we have the funds
right,
in
it's been, but, did you say 20,000 to Bolton and Queensbury at local?
20,000 additional, I got 40,000 last year.
Oh, okay, that's,
It would
it
be
says
six-
40 here, so they're getting an
Yeah.
additional 20,
Yeah,
okay.
this is last year's spending plan, the 2015, and the 2016 plan, so that they're giving an increase of 20,000.
And I know there must be some people a little on the confused side here, because I'm a little
Yeah, I get
confused too.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, this, is the plan that was put together last year that, secured funding for the Civic Center. And, decentralized, if you will, a lot of the activity funding out to the towns for smaller activities and those kinds of things, so that the county fundamentally took care of the larger activities in terms of their review, Balloon Festival, Merit Day, that kind of thing. And it also, established an account for the county for its responsibilities, that come up periodically. We just heard one, for example, and others, the fence at Wood Park, and, which the plan, financed. And also it, allocated, dollars, to a discretionary fund, which, all of the, municipalities can access upon request. And I think some of those dollars might have been used for the fence as well. I think they were used for the fence, we needed some addition. So, I think it's been it passed the board last year unanimously, and at that time, we said that, we would, watch the fund balance, and that, based on that, we would adjust up or down, depending upon where we were relative to our fund balance. And, we were very conservative last year. It's possible we could have made this adjustment last year, but we just wanted to be very, very cautious. There were some supervisors that supported the plan, but wanted to make sure we didn't deplete the fund balance. It still maintains the $1 million, reserve. It maintains the $1 million reserve that's established. And, I think a lot of good things came out of the plan as well. There's been really almost a cross-pollination, if you will, of the village and the town came together to marshal their resources for, funding their activities. A lot of the towns, fund activities in some of the other towns. For example, we allocate, to the, fishing derby, and I know the mayor and others, Lake George allocates to, activities, in other municipalities. So it's been, I think, fairly, seamless, transition. And, so that's what the plan is. This would allocate the second-year allocation to the Civic Center, and it would provide for the funding, to the towns, many of which have frankly already incorporated this into their budget. We have, normally we would have taken care of this in January, but with the, merging and the, of the committees and frankly the loss of the occupancy tax chairman, Mr. Kenny, we're about 30 days behind schedule.
Yeah, we're a little bit,
I'd just like to extend the accolades a little bit. As most of you know, the town and village took their additional monies and they pooled them. And then we each kicked in 35,000 last year. We had about 170,000, that we gave out jointly. In that endeavor, we brought in, 2 representatives of the business community to sit on that board as well. It's worked out really well. They've participated and been an asset to the committee, and, it's worked out really well. We also, after the county gave out a certain amount of money, I personally contacted a couple, events, that I felt were shortfalls, in Queensbury, of all places, and suggested they apply to both the town and the group, and they did. We did fund them. One of them is the, sports complex. And the reason I did that is they have excellent records on hotel rooms. They can give you the numbers and names and list them right out there. and they're all in the off-season. So I just felt that if there was an event that was really complying with the occupancy tax motto, then they certainly were, and we felt that it was a worthy cause. So I think it's doing really great, and I'm glad that we're proceeding, tweaking it a little more, and I look forward to another successful year.
Yeah, I would agree again too, 'cause even in my small town, like, the folk school is really in trouble. I know they went to Queensbury and maybe some of the other towns, we gave them some money, and right now they're gonna be able to handle it through the rest of this year, which is thrilling. And, yeah, mutual between the towns is working out really well. So, yes, Rachel?
Certainly this is my first time on this committee. I've come and I've attended these committee meetings for a while now. But I do have some questions. I recognize that this is something that does benefit a lot of the towns, if not all, but some very much so, and enjoyed a conversation I had about it in the van yesterday going up to Intercounty to really understand how it affects, Hague or Thurman or Horicon, and Warrensburg. So I absolutely understand the benefit. I do have some concerns, and I think instead of me asking all these questions here today and belaboring that, this is something that would have to be voted on at the full board meeting, correct?
Well, the 2016 one will have to be voted on today and then approved at the full board.
At the board meeting. I just, it came to my attention that, and John, maybe you can clear it up, that perhaps Queensbury isn't spending all of its money, and I'm not sure if that's accurate or not. I also have some questions about how it's audited, and some input that I've gotten from the business community about is this, if this is how they're, anticipating seeing the OCTAX money spent as well. So I recognize all of your points. I think they're incredibly valid, but I know I wanna do a little bit more research into it before
We can work
the
on it with you.
board
Help you
approves
out.
on it, and
Before the
talk
board
to
meeting.
you
Yeah, no
a
problem.
little bit more. But those are just my first
Alright,
blush
yes.
questions.
Treasurer?
Just a couple quick comments on this. One, Rachel, thank you for bringing up the audit, because that's something that I brought up when, a few of us talked about this plan earlier, and I think that we're gonna probably do something different with that, is coming back to the county to review that, to see how the money's being spent. I'm not sure exactly how we're gonna do it, but I think we're stepping up on that, number one. Number two, I wanna make sure everybody understands that this is a money that's additional to what's already allocated to you under the occupancy tax law, okay? This is additional money to that. And three, I'm comfortable with the additional amount, the way I'm looking and projecting out the funds. If anybody has any concerns about that, I think we're okay projecting out these increases. I think we're good with that, as long as we watch the Civic Center, because that comes off. I mean, after the end of the 3 years, if that drops off, then we're not gonna have any problem. If that stays, that additional money stay for the Civic Center, then down the road, this needs paid for you, there's no problem.
Thank you, and I also asked that same question that Rachel asked, but you didn't even talk to me on it. I was checking in on how the ordering of the reports get back, how people spend the money, and what I understand, it went to the attorney, and, but I think we're gonna set up this year a small committee, 2-3 people, that get a chance to look at where the money's going, and just, make sure that it's being spent and not saved. I ran into a small problem in my town. Somebody applied, but they couldn't give me the money they spent the year before because they didn't spend it, but they want more, and it doesn't work that way. So, we're gonna have a small committee yes, Kevin?
Just one thing, I believe most of the towns have already budgeted for this amount.
Right.
Yeah.
So if the committee doesn't approve it, the town will have a shortfall for 2016.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's kind of putting the cart after the horse or before the horse, but, I mean, we've all budgeted for this extra money. Not the extra five, but we've all budgeted for the extra 10 that we got for 2015, we've already put it in our 2016 budget. So if you don't approve it, it's gonna create
The multi-year plan, yeah. No, well, we're gonna, hopefully prove it now, and then we'll have time to get any questions maybe Rachel have or somebody else.
At least for the people on the low end of the.
Yeah. Mr. Dickinson?
Part of your issue with not spending the money is that until Ron came and straighten this whole thing out, you didn't get your occupancy tax until like 3 or 4 months into the year. So you come in the office on January 1st and what? You got like 6 requests for winter carnival, for the money. And the modus operandi was that you spent all the money by the 31st of December. So you didn't have it. So what Lake George did, I don't know what John did, I'm afraid you can guess. But what Lake George did, what I did, is I started saving some of that money. So then I worked it up until I got enough to cover me until we got our first payment. So I wasn't technically spending it all in the year that I got it, but I was spending it all. So you could have had somebody come in and audit us in January and they go, geez, you got $15,000 here, you're supposed to spend it. Now, I don't know if that's where it came from, that's one of the issues.
That's
Yeah,
Toscano.
although this is a multi-year plan, it has to come back each year. You know, the Civic Center, we committed for 3 years, it has to come back each year, although we committed to the downgrade, so it's gotta come back each year. Unlike the original legislation, which has, its terms and conditions. I just want to make sure.
So we could then, if there was an issue with the Civic Center down the road, I mean, if we're gonna
That's the
keep
whole
using the Civic
idea.
Center, we
That was-
decrease
that
this,
was
or,
the whole
okay.
idea is that we take a careful look at this each and every year, we make the adjustments up or down.
Okay.
And, based upon our experience, because as you know, things can change.
Okay.
And that was understood, and, I think it was Mr. Westcott was, wanted to make absolutely sure, he and Beatty as well, and they voted for this last year, that we were, that the fund balance was gonna stay strong, and that we were gonna be able to adjust accordingly.
Okay.
So we didn't deplete our fund balance, and we have done just that. We're very cognizant of this, and that would be, heard with the county treasurer to make absolutely sure that, you know, we're exactly where we need to be.
All right, I thought I saw a hand, yes?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just have a question for Mike Salon. On the 2016 sheet, it says the estimated fund balance for 2015, 1.919. That doesn't take into consideration the 150,000. The 150,000 from that resolution a few minutes ago came out of that, right?
It will come out of.
Will come out of it.
Okay, and then these adjustments have already been figured into this 1.9?
Yes.
Okay. That's right.
Okay.
I just wanted to clarify that. I was a little lost.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. And if I can follow up with that, just to be able to read this chart, when it says required fund balance 2016, 705,000, that is 705,000 coming out of the fund balance to fund the above mentioned appropriation. They don't give you these things, huh? Kept in the dark. Okay.
We don't want you to hurt yourself.
Yeah. So,
Alright, so which one are you looking at?
oh, down on the bottom there, required fund balance 2016, 705,000, and that's what you're using out of the fund balance to be able to fund
Yes.
the items up above.
Yes.
Okay. Along with the county event fund reduction, now, does that mean the county's spending less on their own events than first planned or budgeted? What's that mean?
Oh, that was,
That was because we split the money
there
up.
was a thinking, I think it was last year, that would be reduced coming into this year, but the board actually, this year did not need to reduce it. And in fact, the legislation that went for the county activities, was,
A little bit more.
not reduced to that number. What was finally approved was, 230 instead of 175. That's actually holdover, that's probably word
Yeah, just so
processing
you-
language that just.
All right, I think you look confused. Last year, we changed the way we were giving out tax money.
Okay.
We started giving more money to the towns to take care of the 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 requests. And we gave the towns, because we had a committee, they used to sit for a half a day.
Yeah.
40 people there, all one by one, asking for money. So, Mr. Conover came up with a new kind of formula, and it worked pretty well. But we kept 175,000 that the county could still give away to the big ones.
Okay.
You know, that the towns can't fund,
Okay.
25,000, 30.
Was it 300 or 350?
350,000.
Yeah, 350,000.
What the county used to give about the special events. And with the plan that was recreated, that has been chopped down every year.
Okay.
I think it was 200 last year.
250,000 last
250
year.
last year, and it'll be 175
This year.
So that keeps coming down, and that money goes back into basically back to the towns instead of
Okay.
being by the county.
That helps
But
read
on a
this.
resolution that you voted on, I probably didn't, that one, that we had given out more than 175 at our meeting in December, there's some latecomers, and so now we're taking that, we already voted on taking some of that out of reserve to pay that off,
Okay.
all right?
That
But if you got any questions, you know, get with me, I can try to help you best I can with it. I know it's the first meeting and it's tough to, if you haven't sat in on some of these meetings.
That county money
Mr.
goes
Strauss?
to big projects, Bloom Festival, Car Fest, motorcycle.
Dennis put it appropriately.
No
I mean, in October, we'll get this amount. It would be distributed to the municipalities. I mean, what we're proposing is that 60,000, for example, would be distributed to Queensberry, and that's the amount that we get in October.
No,
No.
no, that's incorrect.
No, you get this money.
You get this coming in the next couple of months.
Probably get this money in about 30 days.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll be
What
getting.
what you get in October is what's relayed out of the actual original occupancy tax law, where it says everybody gets a 30 grand shot, and then the distribution is made based on a percentage of how much goes in.
Okay, so we'll be getting this sometime in February.
Yes.
Late February, yeah.
Then in October, we're gonna get that other distribution,
Right.
which is an unknown amount right now, right?
Well, it'll be 30,000 plus
Plus.
whatever the percentage based on the collections, how much you put in. There's a formula, it's almost like the sales tax distribution
Yes,
formula.
but the question is on the two parts to the allocation, the flat for the 30, and then there's the amount that Queensberry receives based upon the amount of activity in the town, and that does vary from year to year.
And so, at this point in time, I don't know how much exactly the town of Queensberry is getting in total for the year.
90
The only
bucks.
thing is you
correct.
look back
That's
at
correct.
previous year.
They have to close the books first.
I do look at last year,
They have to close the books first, and then
Right.
the final distribution you'll get the end of May,
right,
first part of June,
but,
from 2015.
okay, so we need to get that established to people that aren't aware of that, so they are aware of that. So now the town of Queensberry, in its allocation, has to consider when the revenues are gonna be in streaming before they outstream them. So, you know, we do leave a reserve, for example. What I like to do is everybody that's gonna request something from Queensberry, please get it to me in April, and last year I got the distribution check in May. And so I knew I was getting it, and I knew how much I was getting. So, in May, when we got the exact amount, we knew what we got in February, so now we had an exact amount. We distributed that, but we didn't distribute all of that, and we did that on purpose because coming around into the fall, and into December, and into January and February, you've got other requests that come in. And so, you need to save a reserve for those requests, like you got the boat show you're gonna hear about in a minute.
No, I'm not gonna hear about the boat show.
Oh, okay. I was looking
I'm
at.
talking to you about the boat show.
All right. I will hear from him about the boat show.
Lisa, I
And,
don't have that sheet that you gave me.
and it's an event that Queensberry does
2014,
support.
2015.
But I have to
Remember that
reserve
sheet you gave
money
me?
for his thing, knowing that it's coming. So I can't spend it all. And that, you got the Soapbox Derby, which is a Glens Falls event, but we put forward it's not a hard and fast rule of where you'll spend your octax, because some of the events, there's overflow. There's events that occur on Lake George that benefit Queensberry, there's events that occur on the Glens Falls that benefit Queensberry, so we consider all this. So there's no hard and fast rules, there's a general principle, but you have to consider each incoming
Can you get it downstairs?
request on its own merits.
Please.
So I was just trying to explain to Rachel a little bit about the process, it's a little bit involved.
All right, and I'm gonna, Lisa's going, because she gave it to me, but I didn't bring it with me, because I didn't realize we were gonna get this, but Lisa's gonna give us she's got it downstairs in a few minutes, I'm gonna tell you exactly what every town got for 2014 and 2015. You'll know that right now, so everybody will know. Okay, and that maybe help questions that some of the new people have. Yes, Rachel?
And, you know, that is helpful, and I am familiar with a lot of that, and also, like I said, a lot of, help from all the towns in explaining how important that is too. I guess what is hard and fast though is this auditing process, and what I look forward to is in the next few months, understanding how you'll be changing that, Mike. I know we spoke about it last year, but really hopeful that this year, especially considering these increases, and as our chairman noted, the towns have allocated that in their budgets, but I would like to know, a little bit more about how that's being spent in accordance with our schedule, guidelines. Perfect.
Yep, we'll keep you up on that, I promise that, because I was not happy the way it was done either, but
Okay.
Chairman took care of it and the
Great.
treasurer. Yes,
We already file we file a report on every, we gotta
Yeah.
know how many people.
But nobody looks at it.
nobody looks at it.
Right.
Oh, oh.
It always went to the attorney's office.
That's good enough for me.
It's always gone to the attorney's office in the past, and where it went from there, really what, I really.
It's gonna change this year.
So, we're
Well,
gonna.
I'd like the treasurer to look at it since he's tasked with that, ran for office for that position, and is more qualified.
Yes?
We just
Uh,
make a motion to approve what's on the table now, so we can kinda move forward.
Okay, all right, that's, any other, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I just wanna make a few comments. Gary Farnquist, Lake George RV Park Private Sector. Back when the occupancy tax was approved, the 1% that went to the towns was really kind of a bargaining chip in that approval. It wasn't really something that the private sector even wanted to do. I understand it's part of the approval and it's necessary. The additional amounts, I don't know whether the law was changed or there was new resolutions to allow that amount going to towns, but, you know, my concern is, again, I'd like to see Queensbury do what the town of Lake George and the village of Lake George is doing and join that effort. I think what they're doing is great. My concern is the smaller towns out there are, as we know, making it part of their budgets now, and that wasn't the original intent of the occupancy tax to have.
Well, that's the wrong phrase. That's the wrong phrase. Wait a minute. No, I think Kevin said it in the wrong way.
Recorded in our budget as a separate code.
It's a second, yeah.
Okay, but have you promised, but if you promised that money to people already, is that why you're saying that you need that?
You need to know, because we have people come in and request money, you gotta know that you're gonna get the money.
Right.
And if they're gonna give you extra money, if they gave us extra money last year, you need to know going into 2016 if you're gonna get extra.
But have you maybe promised that money
I
already?
don't promise anything.
Alright, but it seems important that you have that as part of your budget, cause you.
Well, yeah, because you don't wanna understate or overstate, when you send your report in to the state, they're gonna say to you, how come you have extra money in your budget?
All right, let's move on. There's a motion on the floor, and there's a second. Matt? Okay, any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I am opposed at this point only because I am interested in hearing what the community has to say, answering some of these additional questions. I understand we're on a time frame here, which is why I said I'd look into it after, but I do think that discussion on the audit, everything else was very relevant, and I'm sorry if it's impeding to the time of our
Problem.
committee. But I look forward to learning more about it before our full board meeting.
Okay. You got that, Elise?
Thank you.
All right, just so everybody knows. All right, this is just 2015? Yeah. Okay, all right, in when 2015 ended, and whatever little goes to the next, part of this month, Bolton Landon's gonna have approximately 202,300, Chestertown 46,313, Hague 44,115, Huracan 44,171, the Lake George is 168,895, and the village is 240,823. Lake Luzerne is 44,453, Queensbury 208,726, Stony Creek 41,409, Thurman 40,450, Warrensburg 42,029, and Glens Falls 52,626. That's what they will be tallied for the end of 2015. So,
That's what they've already received.
we already received, they got it. So, this conversation is saying saving money and everything. that comes all year long, so you always get something along the way to get out to the people that apply to the towns. So,
And, Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
there
sir.
are requirements that go with those, the giving out the funds from the town. Those
Right.
go to events, usually weekend-based events. They are open to the public. They are usually to our civic organizations that use that money for promotions. In our town budgets, they're listed specifically under publicity codes there. And it goes to create a better tourist opportunity throughout the whole county, so.
all right.
Very broad. It's very broad what you can use it for once it gets to the town level.
That's not, I have to disagree with you.
No, it's
It's
not.
not, we have to follow, we can't use it for sidewalks or paving streets, or it has to go to entities that bring, people to the town. Like in my town, I mean, I work with the snowmobile club, because they bring a lot of people when they have snow and snowmobiling, that come in, and I work with the Chamber of Commerce, which promotes the town, they get money. The folk school now is gonna get some money from us. We have a big, program that goes on for, kids that, I'm trying to think of the word, the music camp that's in there, they get some money. So, and I use money for flags and flowers, and so, I mean, it is all laid out the way it is. We can't use it, I'd love to use it to do paving, but I don't get enough anyway, but.
Use for infrastructure, I understand
Right.
that, but it's a little bit more broader, and do all the towns require the heads and beds kind of reports and
That's,
things
they
like
give us
that?
all, in fact, everybody in Lake Luzerne got a letter in October that all the reports have to be up to date in case we get audited, so
Is that a Schedule A?
they do know. I'm sorry?
Is that Schedule A, where it's laid out, what it can be spent on and so forth?
I might even have it here.
Could you just email that to me?
I'll make a copy, I'm not an
Thank you.
email guy.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
I don't wanna belabor this anymore
No,
than
we
I
got a
have
lot more to
because
go.
I would like to make it back in time for my meeting with my engineer. But I just wanna say, I don't think it's entirely accurate to say that the annual reports have never been looked at, because in the time I've been here, I distinctly remember Chairman Kenny going down and examining receipts.
No,
for
I think
events.
Mr. Kenny did it, yes.
And I also remember that the town of Lake George at one point had an issue with some funding to a library that had to be reimbursed, so I know these things have been looked at before. We all have agreements, all these little towns have agreements with the county, we have to maintain every receipt for 6 years. The county can call them at any time, so to in any way indicate that the towns are not
Right.
doing our end, is offensive to me, I know. And furthermore, I've got the Maple Days coming up in just a few weeks. We won't see, Thurman does not see money from Warren County other than last year, and hopefully if we're lucky again this year. We don't see our money till October. I have to front that out of my general fund until we get reimbursed for it. So, I mean, we're very detailed, because we need to make sure we get that reimbursement. I don't have enough money floating in my general fund. And if there's some issue with this stuff, I do need to know early in the year, because I have our occupancy tax awards Wednesday. So if this money isn't forthcoming, I need to alert those people immediately so we can start canceling events, which I'd really rather not do, because while I know they don't necessarily stay in Thurman, they do come in from every other community in the town.
Just to respond, Evelyn, no way, shape, or form am I saying the towns
Nobody said
are
you did.
not doing that. And if you're upset over my line of questioning, I apologize for that. It's a follow-up to a discussion I've had with the county attorney and with the treasurer over the last year and a half about how these funds are reviewed. It's a good learning process, not just for the board, but for our community. So I appreciate the input. You seem upset, that wasn't my intention.
I wasn't talking about you. Mike made a comment that they haven't been looked at, and they certainly have in the past. And I know my town has a person assigned to review every single thing. So, to say that they're not getting looked at was a little bit disingenuous, I thought.
Well, then I apologize for that. They haven't, let me rephrase that, they haven't been looked at by my department, so I have no idea what's been spent.
Yeah, I'd just like to clarify that too, because we all have to, we weren't all using the same form. Now we all use the same form.
That's the local law.
Same information, and I've looked at every one of these reports in the past. I've looked at every one of them at the attorney's office. For the most part, everybody uses it the way it should be done. I mean, it's kind of disingenuous to say they're being used loosey-goosey. They're not in my community. We list the number of attendees at every event, so there is a form, it's standard form, and I just don't know where that's coming from.
All right, can we move along here? Yes, Mr.
Just quick, in my town, we have the requirements, which come from the county requirements. My entire board reviews each application within the requirements of the occupancy tax. So everything that's reviewed is voted on by 5 members of the board who have also been exposed to what the requirements are.
At
for
a regular
bond.
meeting. I mean, that's what we do. I do it at my regular meeting. As they come up, I bring it up to my board. They look at them and they vote yes or no, or my recommendation. Sometimes if somebody wants 1,000, I recommend 8. They either agree with me or they give them 1,000. That's up to them.
I'm just saying that the review process
we
is
do.
fairly thorough.
It is thorough. All right.
And Gene, not to say it isn't, I'm just saying in the
I'm
law,
not-
it says the treasurer has a right to do the audit. That's how it came up.
It's up
That
to
was
the
all.
treasurer to do it.
Right, and that was the discussion.
All right, let's move on. We got a couple other quick things here. There's a carryover, we have to, we didn't do it in the meeting in December. This is the 25,000 that was approved last year, to go to a traffic study. DEC is putting in 25,000, and National Grid is putting in 50,000. It's $100,000. We didn't approve it in December, so we do have to prove it now. It was passed, the resolution was passed, but we never did a resolution on it. So, if everybody's up to date on this is a survey, traffic survey, along the $1 Million Mile. All right? Do I have a motion on that? Mr. Conover, Ms. Frazier? All right? Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All right? Opposed? Passed. Lisa, take this next one, the appropriate to 58.
Okay, in, December, the occupancy tax committee got together and awarded a total of, $233,500 out of the special event fund. We had budgeted $175,000 in September. So we need to move $58,500 out of the reserve to, pay those awards this year.
Right. Matt, again. I'm sorry, I can't see with the glasses on or off.
John?
John, okay, thanks. All right, everybody understand? That's what I was just explaining to, before that, we had under 75, but we gave away more. Now we have to take some more out of the reserve. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. All right. Now, we have one person that asked to be on, Roger Penny. Gene, you forgot.
Got one more.
Got one more.
Which one is that?
We have a budget amendment.
To reduce Warren County?
Budget amendment,
Oh, that's not on my thing here. Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
there was a new
Lisa, you wanted to explain that one? I'm sorry.
Okay, at the end of last year, it was decided for the for the festival fencing, that we would take, the treasurer actually paid for the fencing out of another capital, funding, and we were going to reimburse the, that capital projects code out of our current budget. So the 100,000 that was originally planned was reduced, $25,847. So, and after that point, there was another 12,000 that came up as an expense, and, in the festival space, the, Warren County's portion of that is 62%, which is $7,440. So the treasurer had also paid that, and so we are asking for a budget amendment to reduce, that Warren County Projects Code by that $7,440.
Ms. Dickinson? Mr. Conover, I see your hand up. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. All right. We have, Roger Penny here would like to talk to the OCTAX committee, and I think he has a little, video.
No, I don't,
You don't?
Thank you.
You bet.
We had a,
Got a handout for everybody here. It's a quick document, it'll like any other document, we'll probably read all through it instead of listening. So you shouldn't time them out till the end, I think. If you want, you can just pass those down and we'll walk around it. I'll give you a flyer that we put out that went down to there's enough to pass it down.
The other side here?
Yeah.
Alright, there's enough, I'll take it.
But these, the flyer, the little, rat card that we've got here was something that we produced as part of our new Vote Upstate New York campaign that, what we wanna tell you about today. And these, about 1,000 of these went down to the New York Boat Show. And, were handed out down there by members of our Eastern New York Marine Trades Association that displayed at the New York Boat Show. And, so it's a sort of a start of an effort that we've got to spread the word. About voting in upstate New York. Want one?
Just leave my papers behind so it looks like. Oh, this meeting table was like the last.
As John mentioned that the boat show over here at the Adirondack Sports Complex, that's something that we started about 11 years ago. Our 11th annual one will be coming up here in the end of April. We were the first event that went in the dome when Doug opened it. We've been there every year since. It's an event that our Eastern New York Marine Trades wanted to have a central place for people to look at boating, get information about boating, find all kinds of things that apply to boating. It's been a pretty good success. It's been there 11 years. We started off with attendance being in the 1,900, 1,800, 1,900 people. Boat sales in $1 million, $1.5 million the first 2 or 3 years. We're in that $1.5 million, $1 million to $2 million. It's grown over the years that we're up now since we got George with us. Norman has been our marketing man for the last 3 years. In the last 3, the attendance has gone up, so we've exceeded over 3,000 visitors in a 3-day weekend. And our sales of boats have increased from that 1.58 to $2 million. It went to $3 million and went to $4 million. And last year, with the 3-day show we sold over $5.1 million worth of boats in 3 days. I only say that to you here that it's just a sort of an evidence, I think, of the kind of work that our association's put together with the help of George and folks like him to put together something that'll grow and mean revenue to who's ever involved, hopefully, and provide a service of dispersing needed information to the boating community. So what we've done after we looked at the boat show, we said we spend a lot of money marketing the boat show to attract that 2,800, 3,000 visitors here. And then we sort of just shut down and disappear and go back to our boat dealerships and work for the summer and then put boats away for the winter and then start working about the boat show again. So we said, gee, we rev up a lot of energy, we rev up a lot of attention for boating up in this region and getting people from quite a range. Just last year, we do keep a detailed list. I've handed those into the Warren County Occupancy Tax Committee. Back a few years ago, we did get some small dollar awards, and we handed it to John that last year and got some much needed support from John for this last year's event. But last year's event drew 2,880 visitors, and this really surprised me when we aggregated it. 348 different zip codes attended this event. Now that's getting pretty far outside actually Warren County, I think. When you look at them here, they come from all over the place. We got a detailed list of them from whatever, right down to the town that it's in. And so it's a thing that we have the ability, we feel, to reach out to the boating community and attract them to come to see what we have to offer. So we wanted to expand upon that, and between George's conversations with us, with our organization and everything, we decided to come up with something called Vote Upstate New York that we designed a new logo for. We got a program going where we want to reach out. We want to become the place that people that are interested in boating in sort of a 5-state region. If you look at this, and probably the tourism department's got a similar looking thing, that, you know, we look at, you know, Vermont, western Connecticut, western Massachusetts, northern New Jersey, maybe a corner of Pennsylvania, and New York State out past Utica to Syracuse is where we direct our marketing to bring people here. The zip code thing shows we've been successful. We said we'd like to keep reaching out to those folks all year long and become the place if they want to know, you know, I'm looking for a certain kind of boat, where can I buy it? I've got a certain kind of a thing, I want to go on vacation, I'm thinking of going up to Lake Champlain Basin, I'm thinking of going to Lake George, I'd like to go to, you know, up to Loon Lake or wherever they decide to go up here with their motels and places that they decide to visit. That, you know, if I go up there, where can I do these things with my boat? Where can I get things done to my boat? Where can I get my boat? I hear something about invasive species up there. Now it's a state law, and regulations I think are going to be made official somewhere right after the end of the month here. And we've worked closely with the folks that are doing that. And we also think of this thing as a good way to give that outward information that if I want to come up here, where am I going to get my boat inspected? Where can I get it looked at? If it's dirty, where can I get it washed? Well, I working with the DEC office, the Invasive Species Coordinator office, and I got this list. And in New York State right now, as far as what they've collected, it doesn't mean just there, but there's like 74 inspection sites and probably about 20 decontamination sites. And Warren County, I think, and Ron and Dennis probably knows more. I think right around the lake there's about 6 or 7, and I think Hague has got one up there, and I was told Bolton Landing did, and or not Bolton, but Loon Lake up by their ramp, and maybe Brant Lake over on theirs.
Never washed yet, but.
No wash, but the inspectors are there. So I mean, this is going. It's all part of boating now. Anybody who's going boating is going to be concerned and live with that. We're looking at it. We were talking with Walt Lender the other day that we want this also to be a website part of this thing, and it's not just the website. There's quite a marketing campaign, as you see, for these other things, to go out and attract boating here and give an avenue that somebody wants to reach out to, from you organizations that are invasive species and things, wants to reach out to the boating community particularly. We have an instrument where we're going to grow. We already have 35 or 38,000 email addresses. When we get these things going, you collect more. And we've given quite an avenue where, you know, anybody involved in these kinds of efforts have an avenue of reaching out and getting something right in front of the boating community. So it's a targeted market type event that situation that we're after. When I did this, I just got to looking around at, you know, what have we got to draw from? What can we bring here? What's our audience? And I was really surprised, and it's in your document there, but there's like 12 million registered boats in the United States, recreational vessels. And then the expenditure of that audience is like $36.7 billion is spent on boating, recreational boating. New York State ranks, depending on what you look at, we're 9th in registered boats, or 451,862. It also, in another ranking, it ranks one of the top, is the 5th top state in boating economic value. Economic value, that number goes and looks into, you know, where you stayed and what you did and things like that, not just of direct boat-related expense, but it's things you spent money on while boating. So it's a pretty big audience, and if you look at the registrations in the 5 states that we would target, there's 868,000 boats in there, or 7.4% of the whole total. So what we were looking at is if we said, well, you know, it's 7% of the total, so if there's X billion dollars, if you want to start that as a place, and you break it down as to, you know, the dollars spent, we got a couple of categories in here and said, if we could attract voters from that area, if there's 868,000 of them, and we could get, there's about average 3 visitors per boat is an average, You know, if we could attract even just 1/4%, or 2,170 more boats to come here, and they spent about $650, this is published information, $650 a weekend or $1,500 a week. That's talking about a 1.4 million to 3.2 million extra dollars that are coming here in a year. And, you know, you can figure out whatever benefit that kind of money is, whatever you do when you're out spending money to attract folks here, what do you intend to net out of them? As far as taxes and bed taxes and sales and just other business income. As mentioned earlier, they come and they buy gas and they have motel rooms and lodging. A lot of these are trailer boaters, or it could be even people that come up and rent boats. And they stay in motel rooms, they rent the boat for a week, they have a good time, they do this. So that you love them, they're spending probably more than $1,200. And so that's one avenue. Another information on it is, if you looked at that money and said that if we wanted to, we also want to attract boaters just to come up here that are on these fringe areas, to come up and visit the dealers and the marine things in the area. There's something like, looking at the yellow pages before I come over here, there was like 24 or 25, and I know some of them are not in there, marine related businesses that are in Warren County. And there's a lot of other ones that are the small repair shops or whatever. They don't sell boats, and not all these people sell boats, but they repair, launch, rent, do this and that and the other. So there's quite a few businesses here that people make a living at. And if we could just bring up, again, like 0.5% of that number to come up here and get their boat fixed, to rent it, to repair it, to store it, to dock it, to do whatever, you know, that same number comes out to be like 0.5% of them come, that's another 400, and the 3% sales tax on that one, or whatever, or the occupancy, what's the occupancy, 4? So I didn't even calculate those numbers, because you don't, this is not an audience that you can particularly just count heads and beds, but when many of you are in towns and communities up here that got something to do with tourism, and you see the number of people that are coming here to use the waters of our area, that's probably the major attraction. You know, there's a lot of people looking to come here. We just want to make it easier for them to come. We want to tell them about what's here. We want to pass back information available that they can see to enjoy their visits here. And, you know, we're creating this new website, and on page 3 of this, there's some pictures of the website and what it's going to do, but just one little piece of that. Websites are websites, but one piece we're working on that we think is quite different is, like, and I think it's the 3rd page here, there's a map. We got an interactive map we're building that, the idea of it is we'll take things like these wash station things, we'll take businesses that are in the marine related business, and we're going to populate this map with little dots and say where they are. And so if a person is saying, and there'll be search engines, and you can hover over the maps, you can do whatever, and if you see something here, I'm looking for, I want to go to Lake George, and I'm looking to stay on the west side of Lake George, and I'd like to see where I can launch my boat and where can I get it inspected. Boom. You put that on there, and there'll be these little flags like you're showing here pop up on the map. Tells him where they are. He can hover over that, and it'll tell him who it is, where his address is, and how to call him. If he happens to be a member of our marine trades or chooses to join on other basis in wider range of places, then that little dot would pop up and tell him, you know, show his logo and give you a connect right to his website. So that do it, and things like the Lake George Association or any place that anybody else that's got a water related function, you know, could be listed in here and would pop up on searches and so forth. So, you know, we think we've got something that we're gonna, and I guess our difference is we're not looking at a 1 weekend window. We're talking about something that's got about 5 to 6 months a year to help accomplish its goals of bringing in money and serving the boating public. So it's something we're very excited about and so forth. We've come to the point where we're trying to figure out, you got something you'd like to add, George?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, add, Roger, thanks. It's important to note, there's a lot of sites individually out there. There's great organizations in our county here already doing things on invasive species. The difference with this product is there's really no outbound in kind of marketing or promotional value to people in the city, letting them know about all the waterways and all the things that we have here to offer. Our intention is to work very closely with these organizations that are already doing a fantastic job for our lake. You know, LGA, we've already been in touch with the Park Commission to keep efforts going. But we just have more with the boat show, with the amount of people we've already have in our network for the boat show and successes over that many times. How much resources my company personally has to keep something like this going, and the amount of work and time it takes to publish relevant information in a fast time on a mobile devices and things like that 87% of people are using, and to stay up with that stuff, technology. A couple things coming up that maybe you are aware, maybe you're not aware of is, my friend works at Google, so I get the inside scoop. Voice recognition technology with search engine optimization is a real thing. It's coming. And with that, we have an opportunity here to be at the forefront of this technology on behalf of driving not just traffic here, but obviously Roger, did a great job trying to articulate just a small, kind of conservative number rather, for you here. But as you can see, I mean, if you can put in perspective what we've been able to do with the boat show, okay, and then everything just stops. We stop talking to these people. It's not normal. It's not normal to have a relationship with these people over years, 11 years, and then stop talking with them year round. We have an opportunity to talk to these folks year round and drive them here, using social media and different tools that we plan to do. And I think, what we're here asking for today is obviously your buy-in for this. We're trying to show you ways that, to get us started, we have some investment costs to get things rolling. However, we're here to show you a return on your investment. We're not here asking for a handout, okay? We're here to show you how, investing in this particular thing for a monetary value that you see fit at this time, we could deliver, quite conservatively, some serious
A lot of
numbers.
money. Hard to calculate it, but I mean, you all deal with that with the tourism business all the way along. I mean, we never know. But the big thing is we're not weather related for one weekend. Like say this year the Winter Carnival's got a hardship ahead of them. We have no winter. And we might get rained out, but we're probably not gonna get rained out for five months. So anyways, it's an audience out there that we think we can help to reach. I don't know, it's also a little bit of touch of the tourism industry because, I've been in the marina business in Norwalk Marina, or I was for 22 years. And, we know how that comes and goes, and there was not a good way to get out and tell the boating public. I mean, when you go excuse me, go ahead.
Is this website up?
It's under construction right now.
It's under construction.
It's designed, and the pictures you see here was just one picture of it over on the side, but it's a pretty comprehensive website that goes all the way down through where dealers can put boat listings out there. These invasive species issues can be put down. Or there'll be a page and a feature for news events and everything. If there's something new coming around, and say the tourism industry wants to tell somebody of a new event that's going here that's somewhere near the water, if they'll tell us about it, we can put it on there and it's out where everybody can see it.
Roger, what are you looking for from us?
All right, what we figured out is, we think it's a fairly conservative cost, but we've looked at the thing as far as designing the website and building it. We got some interacting with other websites to spread the word. We're going to try to do a spring and summer video series to put out on it for spot things for draw people to the site, and then just online and inbound and outbound marketing programs to drive boaters here. We're looking at a cost of around $35,000 to do that. Now, we're not looking for $35,000. We don't think you'd ever do that with us anyways, but we'd like to say, could we get you to consider up to a 50% share of that, or a $17,500 to let us have the money to go ahead and the biggest part is that outbound, get the word out now, between now and summer, so that people are well aware that this site exists and these are the things you can get from it and get them to come here.
Before you comment, I'd just like to add one very important thing. One of the key things that's going to make this program very successful is we have buy-in from every dealer in Warren County, okay? And this program,
As part of the program, as you can see, it's kind of small for time's sake, I saved you about page there. But you can see on the advertisement for Castaway Marina, I believe it's on, what, page 4, Raj? Our dealers this year for advertisement, after the Great Upstate Boat Show, you'll see advertisements out, and you'll see the dealers start to badge that their exposure across the state that they're gonna be at the Great Upstate Boat Show. As part of this program, they're gonna be putting the Boat Upstate brand on all of their advertisements, video, radio, TV, to try to drive traffic to this thing. So they will be, expanding our efforts, and we're gonna launch this at the boat show this year, have a full booth, and our goal is, with your support, combined with these efforts, that we could really come out of the gate. And as you know, anytime you launch a brand, or you launch something of this magnitude, the first 6 months to a year are the most important parts.
Yeah, we'd like, there's lots of ways we're toying of how to get the word out, the die cuts on the window. I don't think the mayor'd let us, but if we could put one on every one in the parking lot, like George, it would get the word out, every truck going up and down the road and all that. But I mean, it's kind of unlimited the way we can reach out. We just need some resources to go do it. And I think, as George said, we don't think this is this is not a one-way test. I mean, we've proved that we had the wherewithal with our group and our way we manage it to make something grow that didn't ever exist here. Many thanks to Doug Miller for creating a spot to do that.
Ron,
And we've gotten...
All right, Ron, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I like the concept very much. I mean, obviously, we're a voting community, but many of our communities are voting-related communities, and it's how we make our living, after all, to some percentage or another. And just so some of the committee members know, there was hardly, when Warren County stepped out on the invasive program, there was hardly a meeting I ever attended that Roger wasn't at, representing the private sector and the voting community, people who sell boats, fix boats, launch boats, and that group, the private sector, goes into the many thousands. I mean, it's not just, it crosses the entire economic spectrum, and I can tell you for a fact that we would not have come as far as we have without their support, and it's also important that their support was important because so that we did a program and we didn't shoot ourselves in the foot.
No, I think that, there's one thing...
doing the program, and that program now has been rolled out to the whole of the Adirondacks, and I just want my colleagues to understand the important role that Roger and his business community, which exists, I think, in all of our communities. I just have a question, having said that, are you going to be selling advertising on this site? Because if you are, I was just wondering, perhaps we might make a linkage with some of our audiovisual programs, with maybe a hot button or whatever.
Yeah, we'd be very happy. We've had some talks, I believe, we've explored that a little bit, and we certainly would like to do that, is to, to put you there so that, you can come to us, we can go to you, or people visiting, either one of us can go either way. If you, and in somewhere, if you wanted a special event ad, something big was coming up, was brand new, and I want to get another way to get it out to these kind of people. We've got like the first page of the, if you look on the first page with the website, right on the home page, there's a big circle right here on it, and that's designed to be a news event or an ad if somebody wanted to buy it for a fee. But with something like you, if you had something going, we could put that right in there, and for the week before or whatever the appropriate timetable. I mean, but that's the idea. There's going to be some ways to market stuff here. There's ways to, and then there'll also be a news area where we're going to invite you to please give us information or little articles and so forth to put in there, because the idea of this whole thing is you got to make it interesting. I mean, you've all been to websites, you go for whatever reason, but if you want you visit regularly, it's because you find information you're looking for there.
You want to say
or it's something I like reading. So, this thing, we worked hard. George has got a pretty good imagination of what it ought to be. We've got another fellow working with me with it, and between the three of us, we figure out more than he can do probably, but...
All right, Roger, and not that I'm cutting you off, believe me, we got another whole meeting after this.
Okay, but I mean, that's our story, and we're sticking to it.
All right, have you had any buy-ins by the marinas and stuff? I mean,
well,
you gotta let us know, have you gone to other towns and asked for some help from bed tax, and especially the ones around the lake and all?
Well, no, we
This,
didn't go,
this is,
I
well,
go
the reason I'm bringing this up.
I go to John for the boat show, because
All
I
right.
was turned down to
Yeah,
go to
but
the
let me
Queensberry
just,
thing.
let me just say something here, and again, I'm only neutral here, but, you know, to me, this is a dangerous thing for us to do as a county to the private sector. Because what I fear is 6 months from now, maybe camping organizations wanna put up a website for camping, and we gotta, you know, I don't wanna start something, you know, once you start something, you know, you're trapped into it. And I just think, you know, and I don't know how my fellow members here feel. I mean, it's a great idea, and we probably can help a little somehow, or maybe a little bit through tourism, but, I mean, that's a big number, and right now, we did, like, I think I explained that to you a couple of weeks ago, give out most of ours, but we do have a reserve.
Yeah.
I mean, if anybody else has any comments, I'd really love to hear it, good or negative or whatever, but,
Just think it's not exactly just the
wait,
website.
Administrator, you wanna say something?
Well, I would just point out, Mr. Chairman, that this is very unique proposal for the county to actually invest in a website. I would urge caution on the part of the committee, because it's a private-public partnership, which, you know, we buy ads, that's one thing to publicize, but to actually be an investor or a partnership is kind of an unusual function for a county, and I think you definitely would want this studied by the county attorney. I'm a little apprehensive about that, that notion.
That's why I asked about the, whether they were selling advertising, because this might be something that we would want to incorporate into our advertising.
Yeah, that's, like I said,
Yes,
that'd be no
matter to us,
problem.
you know, how we get it, but I mean, I just don't see it as just the website. I think it's because it's a commitment of lots of people to try to go out there and bring people to your region. And all of you have websites that try to do that. I mean, nobody does anything today hardly without a website. So it's not you're investing to get the website going. The website is a very small piece of all this. It's telling the world that Boat New York State, first we want them to come up here, we're gonna show pictures of boating up here, come on up here and do this. Maybe it is an advertising thing, if we'd like to have something where you say, okay, we can do, you know, $15,000 worth of advertising a year on your program and do it that way, you know, or somehow, or out of your budget, that, could we pick up a piece of something that you're, you know, Joanne and thing is trying to reach out to people, could we be that arm to do that for her and serve part of a tourism function, and maybe you find funds that way or something, but.
Matt, do you have something?
I think we should have more discussion, you know, on
Yeah.
how to do it, but can I make a suggestion or an observation, and maybe you can clear it up? On the map that shows, you know, you do a search, location, Glens Falls, New York, I mean, I have 2 marinas in the town of Work, and one of them specializes in rentals, you know, deliveries, and it draws a lot of people in.
Yeah.
But if you do a search in Glens Falls, New York, I just
No,
wonder.
this is a,
Sample.
no, yeah,
So,
that's
but I
just a
mean,
thing, that's an
I
example of
would-
filling in the blank.
Okay, so it'll,
That's a search, the searcher fills that in, where he wants to go.
right, so if somebody searches for Glens Falls, it cuts off in Warrensburg, but it goes as far south as.
That's only because the picture did.
Okay.
The map is very big, you know, it's like anything you do there, you zero in to see what you really wanna see. But it's a pretty big screen map.
There's more options, and there's more radius where the search results are. It's using Google API technology, so it'll actually zoom in and have a part, so you have a chance to zoom in and see everything.
Yeah, I wasn't inferring that it was your issue, but I did a search while we were talking, and other websites do the same thing. There's F.R. Smith, there's all the, you know, Lake George is the queen, so Lake George gets all the advertising.
Yeah, a lot of, that's what that's.
Great Lakes, Green Lakes.
People try to do pieces of it, the problem is there's no comprehensive source. It's almost
Right.
like, this is more of a commercial grade, like, you know, spin where, you know, it's one source that people would go to get information.
But it might help, what I'm
Like the
saying
county's
is,
website,
it
for
could help
instance,
more.
you know, is a source for all things.
Right.
This is a piece of that equation that we're independently marketing ourselves, you know, out on behalf of everyone in the county. So I guess if you look at it that way, that's kind of how we
Yeah.
present it.
This is a one-time request, or is this an annual request? I'm just wondering what your thought process is here.
I didn't know you did, multi-year ones, I've always been
Well,
involved
no,
with,
I'm just wondering.
but I mean, right now, we wanna get this up and running and going, and maybe if we have the success that we think we're hoping we have, maybe we won't need to talk to you. If there's something, a new piece or something, expansion, or geez, if we did this, we went here, we'd be back to talk to you again. But we're not asking you right now for a multi-year commitment that, you know, I think we'd be like we are every year with something else, you know, is just, this is where we are this year, this is what our needs are, and this is what our resources are, and see, can you guys help us with it? But, right now, we're not asking you to look down the road and say, okay, I'll give you whatever, $10,000 or 15 for the next 3 years, no.
Roger, we appreciate your, presentation.
Thank you.
I think we have enough for us to, run with here. I would like to, shut this down, we'll table it.
Fine with me.
We will discuss it with our attorney, we'll discuss options with the tourism department. I get this feeling you might be better off with one of the economic development, funding sources as well, but we'll discuss all that and get some answers for you.
We just think we've got something here we're excited about, that we got a chance to really draw some business here. And we just need some help to get there, and we don't care where's the proper channel, anything
Well,
you can do to
it's a
help.
great idea, we'll take a look at it and we will get back to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Gene,
I know, it's I know, I'm gonna lose a lot of people for the tourism meeting, but we're gonna close, this is the OCTAX, so we're gonna close, a motion to adjourn from OCTAX.
Second.
Huh? Oh, it's all one meeting, I'm sorry, we don't need that. All right, I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
All right, yep, this is running longer than we all anticipated, so, all right, well, let's get into, the tourism part of it. And there's a long meeting on that too, yeah, we got a couple of resolutions. Yeah, we'll do the resolutions first, I got a couple of resolutions,
Get 'em out.
we need to, minutes, no nothing, all right. Joanne, you wanna start with the resolutions?
Peter's passing around, good afternoon, everyone. Peter's passing around, a little bit of an explanation as to which, firm we will choose moving ahead with our photography, video, commercial production. When we've done this in the past, we've had 3 different entities that each have their own little, area of expertise. So this year, we've combined the contract so that it's all, under one organization. We think that'll be more cost efficient and just efficient overall. They'll be able to set up the photo shoot, hire the models, take the photos, do the videography, and Peter wanted to make it very clear to you how we made our decision.
Yep, real quick, this is our evaluation process. We evaluated all the RFPs that came in, and there was 1, 2, 3, 4 processes that we gave them points on. In each section, you'll see that there is a ranking system, 35 points for capabilities and samples, 35 for experience, 20 for cost, and 10 for references. At any point in that process, when we were evaluating the RFP, if they failed at that step, I no longer further considered them for the proposal. So at the bottom 2, you see Gribbons Films. The first and foremost thing that they failed was understanding the scope of RFP. They're out. RBH was a comprehensive plan, but they came in at $174,000. That is way too much money that we could ever. So these top 3, all were very narrow in scope and very competitive. Working Pictures by far won it. They understood the scope of the services. Their reel that they provided that had some samples on there were solid, and their experience and award-winning firm is, again, they all had accolades, but they were especially solid. And their costs, they were the lowest. So we're getting the best value of all those other things at the lowest cost. So at the end of it, references, I took a few points off for them because there is a working relationship with them in the past, and they used us as some of the own examples, so I kind of, you know, I deducted a few points there. But by and far, they are the best one to pick from, and stage 6 coming in second. So I would recommend that we go with Working Pictures, and
I'll make that motion.
Second.
That's quick, okay, all in favor, any questions?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, that's what I like, everybody's hungry, I think. The second
The next resolution is just to continue our relationship with the Adirondack Regional Tourism Council. Within the Regional Tourism Council, there are 7 counties, Warren, Essex, Hamilton, and we all contribute matching funds for the promotion of the Adirondacks. So they have a website, they do promotions, they have video and TV commercials. So this is just to continue that agreement with ARTC.
And there's money involved with that?
It's matching funds from New York State.
right? And
It's
somebody-
about $143,000. I think it says here,
150, just so that we
to
didn't have
keep it under 150, right?
And we've been working with them for a while too.
for years.
Move that.
All right.
Second it.
Okay, we got a motion second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
The next resolution is just to recognize the First Wilderness Heritage Corridor, which is a program of our county Planning and Community Development Department, and it promotes towns and communities along the Hudson River. So most of them are in Warren County, but Corinth and Hadley are in Saratoga County. So sometimes there's that gray line where, you know, as Warren County Tourism, we promote entities within the county. So this would just be an understanding that as a part of the First Wilderness Heritage Corridor, we would promote the entire corridor. And if there was an event taking place in Hadley, but it was a corridor project, that we would be happy to cooperatively coordinate with them.
They're basically asking to be recognized like a Chamber of Commerce type of thing. We don't give
You
them any
need a
money or
resolution
anything,
for
but-
that, or?
Yeah, we need a resolution
Okay.
too, because we go outside the boundaries of Warren
That's the one
County.
paying it.
Correct.
All right, Dennis, Etna, you got a question?
Nope, I was just,
Well,
All right.
Your hand's going up quick. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. All right.
We do our little departmental reviews.
Yep, departmental reviews.
Okay, quick reviews. You did all get the travel guide last time. I just want to say that it's been very well received, and I wanted to note that we had an increase of $10,000 in revenue this year. So we had a really great buy-in from a lot of our business partners, so we're very happy about that. So between the revenue from advertising and the matching funds, that entirely paid for production of the guide. So we're starting to distribute that. I was a guest of the Lake George Chamber of Commerce at the New York Times Travel Show in early January. If you remember, we have kind of stepped back from attending shows this year, so I wanted to go to this show and see what it was like. Very well attended, really great recognition of the Lake George area. It's an expensive place, an expensive show for us to be at, but we might want to consider moving forward if that is a good place for us. It was wonderful while we were there. Everyone loves Lake George, but we would have to work that back into our budget if we think we want to attend consumer shows. There were a handful of travel writers and travel agents that came up here on a fan tour. They were part of the New York Times Travel Show, and Tanya will tell you a little bit about the success of that. Talking about travel writers, I had a woman from the Huffington Post visit last June. She stayed at the Sagamore, and she went out on the lake with Ron Miller. So while the gal was here, she was posting social media. She immediately wrote a story on the Huffington Post. And now in January, she has 2 more stories on the Huff Post that are a result of that. So that kind of earned media doesn't cost us anything out of our budgets. We just need the cooperation from our business partners. You know, at the Ford is always great about that, and a lot of our business partners are. But that helps us get that exposure in the Huffington Post that we'd never be able to buy. So moving ahead, we'd like to cultivate that type of media exposure. Our social media, I passed around a report from Trampoline on an Instagram program that they had a photo contest at the end of last year that was very successful. They've been with us for 8 months now. Our Facebook likes are up to 11,000, so that's our fastest, our largest platform at this time, although Instagram is growing very quickly. And as more, you know, people our age maybe are using Facebook, the kids are on Instagram, so we do need to focus a little bit on Instagram. But Pinterest and Twitter have grown as well, and maybe we'll look at Facebook as we move forward as a new platform. We continue to meet with the local business people. We were at the, Tanya and I and Jean were at the Council of Chambers the other night, and we also have an invitation from the Gore Mountain Chamber of Commerce to come on up to their weekly business meeting on Thursday morning, and I understand that they're having an outdoor adventure workshop for their local businesses, so I'm anxious to learn a little bit about that, and they've asked us to see if we can work with them on that workshop. We're looking into the possibility of maybe an intern in the office in conjunction with SUNY Adirondack. They have a hospitality management program, so I'm working with Amy in the county's attorney's office. There's already an agreement in place for other departments who have used interns, so we'd like to explore that a little bit more. And the last thing is that on our website, you know, we try to keep things current, just as Roger did. So new things, there is a February festival, winter festival focus. So not only Lake George, but Brant Lake and Hay have a winter festival. So there's some images and some text that was written by Trampoline. And then I did one that was kind of like fun things to do if there isn't snow. So maybe you can go out to dinner and sit by a fireplace, or go to the Great Escape and swim indoors. So just to let people know that we are still open in the winter, even if there isn't snow on the ground. I think that's it for now.
Gene,
Yeah.
I'd like to skip down to executive session, I only got.
We're not gonna have an
You're not gonna do it?
We're gonna nix it. Yeah, 'cause we don't have the time. Are you, before, all right, so you all know, a couple of these things, we worked with Julie, we've been working with the private sector. Everybody on this committee had come to a presentation for the two companies to do an RFP on, and research about our tourism. The only one was Mr. Vanslo wasn't able to make it. We're right now, Julie's gonna check with the two, prospects to see, because, again, these things have to be done right away, because if there's a 45-day window from the time they submit their proposal to the time we tell them yes, no, or indifferent, and that's gonna run out in a couple of days. We were planning to hold off for 2 weeks. We've come up with a couple of other, things. We've worked very well with Sam Luciano. I'm sorry I made you sit through all this. Sam was gonna represent the private sector on the technology part that, we were working on, and after I finish talking, if you wanna say a few words about it. But, we're gonna hold off, and Julie's gonna check with these people. We can hold off for another month, give us more time in that window, and we will plan a meeting in about 2 weeks with just the tourism department, because it's gonna take a few hours to really discuss this and pick the right, group, and, I apologize for the inconvenience of that. So I'm not gonna ask for executive session, so, and, if you just wanna say a few words, I know you've been sitting here, you gotta get back to work. Sam is, we've been meeting, the tourism department, we've been meeting with Sam now for about 4 months. He's guided us superbly, and shown us the way about technology, and just absolutely, yesterday we met with him for a while, and the future in hotels and motels, well, not motels, but hotels especially, is gonna be unbelievable. It was really an eye-opener, what's gonna happen in the next 5 or 10 years, not today. But Sam, you wanna introduce yourself and just talk to the...
Sam Luciano, the only thing I'd like to say is, last time I sat in a chair for 2 hours without moving was Southampton College in 1980. Feeling good about it. Your tourism department and crew has done an outstanding job vetting this process. Working with the private sector, they really won't make a bad choice going forward. There are a couple different levels you can go to. Very, very important decision, and I think taking your time and doing it right, especially the data part, the research end of it, is gonna be a critical step in the process. And, just to make the board aware that it's in very good hands with this group. That's it.
Thank you.
Sam, did the private sector, did you guys come to a conclusion on which one you wanted, or, because from that last meeting that we had, I felt that there was some that wanted one and some that wanted the other?
We haven't talked personally. Joanna reached out to me, and I made mine.
All right, but that's why, Doug, we're gonna have a meeting in 2 weeks, and get everybody,
I
because
don't
I just want more of the board to catch up on some of this stuff too, because we threw it at you the first couple of weeks in January, and it was tough to get it all under control, but this will work on it. We'll have to come up with something within the next 2 weeks, but we will have, I'll put it out, and it's only gonna be tourism, so we don't have to have, other meetings going on at the same time. Go ahead, Peter, you wanna do your stuff?
Yeah, so, just the usual, making some print ads, some website adjustments, and then thoroughly digging into the scope of these RFPs. It's been all-encompassing, round-the-clock type of evaluation. So, that looks like we'll continue to do that for another 2 weeks and explore some opportunities that have just recently come up.
All right, Tanya, the group sales, you just came back, yep, go ahead.
For those new, supervisors on the committee, I just wanna introduce myself. I'm Tanya, and I deal with, motor coach, strictly motor coach, and some international, marketing as well. Joanne had mentioned that she did attend the, New York Times Travel Show. We did have a pre-fan, prior to that. There, I think it was 2 event planners actually, and 5 travel agents, and then 1 travel writer came in.
Peter,
They were pre-selected for us, pre-qualified. And we had 1 day to kinda host them, in conjunction with I Love New York and their marketing firm, Finn and Partners. I'll pass the little packet of, this is the briefing book, which basically tells who we hosted, and then there's just a little tutorial of the things that we did. But it was a one day, and the focus was really on outdoor adventure and culinary experiences. So I wanted to thank some of our Warren County supplier partners who either gave their time and their complimentary services to kind of host this group and get them to know what is available for their clients for future potential tours. So we did Gurney Lane Recreation Area. We did a little snowshoeing. I really enjoyed that. Then we had a docent-led tour at the Hyde Collection. We had lunch at Davidson Brothers, and then we did their brewery tour experience, which they really liked. In conjunction, we used Hoppy Trails, Ruba, to get us around to these different places. We went to the Adirondack Winery, Max Brewery. They had an overnight at Six Flags Great Escape Lodge, and then we did West Mountain for dinner. So they got to see a lot in the 24 hours that they were here, and they were all pretty satisfied with the winter things that they saw, but they wanted to return for summer, kind of see us in season and some of the new other experiences they could have. So we'll be continuing to work with I Love New York to kind of maybe get them back again and learn how we're going to partner with them in the future for potential business. One other thing, I just got back from American Bus Association Marketplace, which is the biggest show that I attend during the year. I conducted 53 7-minute appointments with tour operators. Mainly because I've been doing it so long, I kind of know all the tour operators. So we discussed what's new, a lot of interest in the Marriott, a lot of interest in the Adirondack Wine and Food Fest. New events are always really popular. What was really great about the show is a lot of the tour operators were just waiting to talk to me to close business. In other words, they were already coming, but they needed a few things just to close up that booking, whether they needed a restaurant or they needed a hotel or something like that, but they were already coming, so I did have some hot leads. I had a hot lead for the Lake George RV Park, which surprised me, actually, for rallies that are using motor coaches that were really interested in your property, and I put that lead in. I've got a 6-day family reunion coming to the Sagamore Resort. Burlington Trailways from Iowa is coming in September for the 3rd time. Great Escape Tours is staying at the Georgian. Christian Tours is just doing a day cruise in Prospect Mountain on the way to New England. Conway Tours is coming for the Balloon Fest. Fox Bus Lines is coming into the Holiday Inn and doing a cruise. Then we had Senior Community Tours, which is really into the Rachel Ray itinerary that we have on the website, and they're going to be staying at the Surfside. As far as other partners from Warren County that attended, we had Lake George Steamboat Company there, Surfside on the Lake, the Georgian Resort, Country Inn and Suites, and Scotty's Lakeside Resort was there too. So I had quite a contingency to go with. The only thing that I found with ABA this year is we are not the sponsors of the binder anymore, so we didn't have a booth. We kind of felt like we didn't have a home to go to when we weren't doing our appointments, and on top of that, I Love New York didn't have a booth. So the tour operators were kind of like, where are the New Yorkers? You didn't have an appointment with us. There wasn't a place you could go to get information, so that's something that I'll address for next year because I think it was something that we really need to have that presence. So we'll look at that again for 2017.
All right, any questions for Tanya?
Yeah, I agree they need a booth. I've done a lot of shows and stuff, and with or without a booth, and when you don't have a booth, it's very tough for people to find you.
Yeah.
Even though you make it known and all this, and it's,
We've been doing it for
you
so
gotta have a home
long.
base.
Yeah, you have to have a home base. We've been doing it so long, we thought, well, people know us well enough with the appointments, we can get away with just having the appointments, but
Can't do it.
definitely next year.
Good, all right. Thank you. Any other, all right, we'll just move right up to the event. Christina, I guess you're gonna be up instead of Mike. Wanna give us your, about the chamber and the CDB?
Yes. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Christina Curley. I'm the Special Events and Convention Sales Director for the Convention and Visitors Bureau portion of the Lake George Regional Chamber. And any of the new supervisors, welcome first of all. And for those of you that aren't familiar with my position, I'd be happy to meet with you and talk a little more about what I do for the county. And I apologize, I have a sinus infection going on here. So I actually, just a few things I want to talk about. We do actually have an intern in the office at the chamber. Yeah, and I've been able to spend a little bit of time with her, talking about CBB things, so it's been actually kind of cool doing that. Um, we at the Chamber have our new website is up and running. The CBB page, isn't exactly what I want. So, we're working with George, Norberton, who was here earlier, and, he and I are gonna sit down and do some, major tweaking on it and really get it to what I want it to be. It kind of rolled over from our old website, and, we've made some changes on it, but we're really gonna sit down and do a major overhaul on it. We wanted to get the Chamber site up to what it really should be, and him and I will sit down and do the CVB page of it and, really get that to where it should be. And I just actually came back from Atlanta last week from, my first show of the year, but a brand new show for me, the Diversity Marketplace, which was a very interesting show and, probably the smallest show I've ever been to. Met with some really, interesting people, from some very interesting organizations. African American Ministry Leadership Council, the National Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce of New York, who is very familiar with New York, upstate here in this area specifically. And they send their leads out through CVent, which is a lead catcher that I am a part of. They will send it out through that software. So I'm very familiar with it, and they are very familiar with us up here. So I'm looking forward to leads from them. And the Asian American Pacific Islander Mental Health Association, who actually I had a conversation with the gentleman the night before our meeting started. And when I sat down for my last appointment of the day, it was him. So that was great. But it was a great show, and I'm looking forward to keeping it into my mix of shows next year and going forward. Just a couple of other things I wanted to just kind of point out in my report, which everybody should have received, and I will also be emailing these out as it goes on. I will be providing information to Sports Event Magazine for their site selection guide February issue, that they are specifically doing on New York State. Excuse me, the Arrowhead Conferences and Events is a national third-party meeting planner company that I actually have met with representatives of this company before at shows I have attended. This particular planner I have not met with. She is from the South, but she actually contacted Tanya first and then contacted me in regards to doing a large 5,000-person event here in the Glens Falls, specifically in the Glens Falls Civic Center, because it's an arena setting. So I will be talking to Jeff Mead, hopefully later today. I now have her specs, and we'll be talking to him, and hopefully maybe we can fill in that March date, because one of the dates
That'll be huge,
is in
5,000
March.
people?
Yeah.
What type of event is that?
It is a Christian,
event?
it's Lifeway Christian Resources, and it's 35 to 55-year-old, mostly women, who attend this event, and they travel anywhere from 50 to 200 miles, to attend the event, so it'll require overnights. And it's two to 3 day event. They load in on a Thursday, the event starts on Friday, and Saturday, so.
That's the one he mentioned today?
No, it's not. He doesn't know anything about
He
this.
doesn't even know about this one?
No, he doesn't know about
man,
this.
that would
This
be
just
huge.
happened the other day.
5,000 women
Yeah,
coming in?
so hopefully, and they're willing to, have hotels within a 0 to 10 mile radius, so this would be something perfect. So hopefully the requirements that they have are not crazy and too outrageous that we can't accommodate it. Very much so, because she specifically. Yeah, she was drilled down right to the Glens Falls Civic Center and knew, that's where she wanted, and this is the area that she wanted to be in. We are also competing against Albany, Rochester, and Binghamton for this in New York State, so keep that in mind. The other thing I also wanted to point out is that, the CVB will be working a little bit closer with Golden Goal this year, to try and bring more events to Golden Goal, which will bring heads and beds to Warren County. Obviously, our facilities or our hotels in Warren County are closer to Golden Goal than any other hotels in the area. They are working with the Sagamore on some rates for April dates. They had asked for three weekend dates in April, and Sagamore was able to accommodate 2 days at a very discounted rate. Which I was very happy that they were able to do. So hopefully they'll get some business out of that. There is a huge national soccer or lacrosse, I'm not sure which, that is coming here. It's a lacrosse tournament that's coming here July 29th through the 31st of this summer. unfortunately, it's July and it's a difficult time, and everybody wants to be here in July, so we were able to get 5 hotels to give them rates for that. Teams, are already registering for the event, and parents and teams are already starting to make reservations, so hopefully we'll be able to secure some hotel rooms out of that as well. I know they did have to go to Saratoga County to get some rooms for this event.
Who's Golden Goal?
Golden Goal is a, lacrosse and soccer and field hockey actually complex out in Fort Anne.
Okay.
It's out on Route 149. If you have not been out there, it is a magnificent complex. They have, actually on the complex, they have, dorms, and like an Olympic-style village, for the teams to actually stay in. So it's really more the parents and the families traveling that'll be staying in the hotels.
All right, thank you. Any questions? All right. I was gonna give a privilege to the floor, but there's nobody here, everybody left. And
Are you in the meeting? Hey, Gene, are you in the meeting, or do you have more?
No, I'm.
Oh,
well,
you said privilege of the floor, I was like.
No, I'm just running down this list here. The other thing on the pending items, you know, we still have a tourism director, but it's on our agenda, but we're not doing anything with it. And the other one is the RFP, which hopefully in 2 weeks we can have another meeting. And, you know, any questions you might have about that, please get to me, and I'll meet with anybody at any time if possible so that we can run through. And I apologize for this long day, but I think we'll be more coordinated next month because this was a lot in one day. All right, so, did you have something?
Yeah, you know, these long days might be good because all of a sudden I came up with an idea that might be good.
Kevin should
I
buy
don't
us
really
lunch.
know.
Kevin
Not
should
very
buy
many-
lunch.
Not very many people here, but Kevin's not paying attention. So anyway.
I'm just like Mayor Blaze, I
I-
love steering at
I was just thinking, while I was sitting here, you know, we have Gray Brochure and, you know, we're looking at social media marketing and, you know, the inclusion of Twitter and Facebook and, Instagram. I know that from my daughter. She doesn't do Facebook anymore because I'm on Facebook. She do Instagram and I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I hear that
But I haven't
from
figured
my
that one out
daughter and
yet.
her kids, yes.
But anyway, why couldn't Warren County, this is kind of a big idea, but why couldn't we take all okay, you have fishing, hunting, snowmobiling, boating, you have family vacations. Why don't we have a contest where people submit their pictures of, you know, their best picture they can come up with, along with a story of why that recreation or that reason for being in Warren County or what they love about Warren County, with a hitch to it. We might have to come up with a little bit of money for maybe a weekend stay for the winner of each category. You know, like, you know, Gary, I don't know if he knows it, but I've spent a lot of time in his campground. I've had some of the best times I ever had, and that's when I lived in Queensbury, so I didn't even go out of town, really. I mean, I just kind of.
It's a great idea, I like that.
You know, and then you could put together, the next year, maybe the flyer with all that information that you took from actual people who recreated and did this stuff in Warren
Great
County,
idea.
rather than people telling us, well, this might.
So,
We could get that from the people that are out there.
motion right now.
so if you looked at, I feel your.
Yeah, I haven't
we are
gone,
into
I haven't
that.
gone in there, I haven't gone through that, 'cause I mean,
Okay.
you know, we got.
So Trampoline did a photo contest,
Oh,
and there were
okay.
4 different categories, but I like the component of, tell us your little story.
Yeah, you have a story.
And then, you know, with the understanding that it's written into the rules that we would be able to use that, because as we keep saying over and over again, we need that creative content, and we need it to come from genuine users who've been here. So, we did this in November. I like the idea of moving forward in the spring maybe, and have some different categories. You can see what their categories were here, and we switch the categories up a little bit, but maybe we add that little caveat.
Yeah, it could be a
that
canoe
send us
trip.
a couple of paragraphs or 200 words or.
On the Schooner River.
But like on all social media.
It's about cultivating the
yes.
relationship with the customer. And every time they tell us their story and give us the pictures, that is a tool that you can use to inspire new travelers, right? And also, every time they post on social media how great of a time they had here, that opens us up to their little peer group. So there is tremendous value to that. And as a department, we are shifting focus completely on that, right? So we have a big budget for an awareness campaign. They come here, they have a good time, and then they write a review. As long as that engagement is positive, we can spin that into a, you know, a self-funding cycle here.
What happens if it is a negative review?
We kind
don't
of,
put it in there then, right?
Too late.
We just don't highlight it.
You don't highlight them, but
You do have to monitor
need to
that a
address
little
them. And
bit, but-
sometimes there's value in calling these people out and
Right,
saying,
good point.
you know, sorry that your beach was closed due to this thing, and, here's the reasons why. And they appreciate that. You know, the people that can't make happy, you just,
I mean, there's so many different things, it's just,
Well, you know,
get
There are a lot of
people,
exciting possibilities and
for the new people on the committee, and you know that, I tell you what, and I'm not saying it 'cause these two guys, and Lisa and Tanya, this tourism department has motivated 100% in the
I
last
agree,
6 months.
I see it.
And I'm hearing it a lot from people, I'm hearing from business people. We were at the Chamber of Commerce meeting last week, and a lot of them spoke up about what they hear, and if you go down, it's a friendly place now, you go down and ask questions and talk to them, and not that it wasn't a friend, I shouldn't use that phrase, but it's just warmer right now, and it's just a different atmosphere, and
I'm excited about it.
we wanna keep along, and I get a lot of people that are, people that were a little bit on the negative side of tourism, especially some business people, and they've come up to me at meetings and said, you know, Gene, your team's doing a good job, and it's all them, not me.
full disclosure, we don't just sit down in our office and come up with these ideas. They're all generated from just talking to people, whether they're supervisors, the business community, everybody's feeding into this. And you'll find that a lot of the thoughts overlap, and common sense would say, hey, everybody's saying this one thing, let's explore that, let's delve into it and research it and see if it makes sense for us. So it's been a great process that we've, you know, really been a part of for the past.
And we've really moved big with the business people, the hotelers especially, and the campground, I think, Greg, you feel this, you've told me that. There's a big change, and, you know, it takes time, it's a wave, but this wave is gonna be, splashing really hard, so.
The winners, you know, if you give them a hotel stay for the weekend, you're gonna get them back for that second time, so you're gonna.
And if you look out the window, it's been snowing for the last hour. So, all right, anybody else have a comment or something, or I appreciate it, your patience, it was a real,
Motion to close.
all right, motion, second, all in favor? Aye, thank you all for coming.
They do.